Boom, we are live. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Drawn Talk. It's your boy Tyler. Guys, it's been a while since I've streamed with guests. I'm doing like this whole 2 week schedule thing, and I'm liking it because I'm able to get some work done. I'm able to draw. I'm able to work on chefs. We've got 20 people here watching. Thank you guys so much. Remember, smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and let's get the show going. Drawn Talk. All right, and I already got people commenting on the Facebook places. And last time I posted about Tim and Mark on a Facebook group, I got banned for life. And I'm getting already messages from these Facebook groups. You guys are gonna get me banned again. But we have an awesome group of people coming on the show tonight. We got Brian Ball, the creator of Rags. You can find his stuff on patreon.com/Nanco. All links are in the description. As well, we got Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini, the creators of the hit comic Kamen America. How is everyone doing tonight? Everyone's quiet.
Suffering because the way you open that show, like everyone's complaining about Tim and Mark.
I hate these guys. No,
they're just jealous of your success.
That's what it really is. That's what it really is. No, you guys are all. I know the cool thing about all three of you guys. Not to say that my other guests aren't, but all three of you guys are uniquely successful in different ways, and I want to talk about that. You know, with Mark and Tim, Kamen America is doing fantastic right now on Kickstarter. You know, the first 24 hours had you guys did 50K, and then on Patreon. Brian Ball and his team with Rags are doing 5K a month, and I posted about this, Brian, on Facebook, and I got a lot of messages saying I didn't know Brian rolled that hard on Patreon.
Yeah, we're about to roll even harder, all thanks to Goku down there. Yeah, I hate you so much.
Which one is Goku? Is that me
You're
or
Goku? You're Goku. Mark is like Piccolo.
He's Chi-Chi.
Chi-Chi. Yeah. Oh, I'm your tiger mom? Okay,
Yeah, that's Mark. Mark is Chi-Chi. Like, we know he's there.
I think that's the only time I'd say I'd rather be Yamcha.
I think Douglas Ernst is here as well. Hey, Doug. Thank you for being
what's
here.
up,
Doug? Hey, Doug. Oh, man, I can't cuss now.
We got the Flock comic. We got Chicken Sith. We got Pickles here. We got Nicholas Mueller. Rob Curo 85. Everyone, thank you guys so much. I will try to read the chats as much as possible. So real quick, before we get into the show, I've got a lot of questions for you guys. It says, hail Kamen America, hail Gingers, hail comics, and I want to talk about each one of your books and how you guys grew them in different ways. Like I said, Brian did Patreon, you guys did your things on Kickstarter, but also the question that I want us to talk about at the end of the show is there a ginger side going on?
Spoiler alert, the answer is yes, but
yes. And also that question is yes if you're dyslexic.
Oh. YouTube algorithm, take us away.
Yeah, we already got banned even before the show started.
Yeah, guys, I put the middle panel on my thumbnail of Rags drawn by Q Sexy Robots. Got me flagged. I was like, dang, I found the censored version. Still too much side boob, Brian.
Not enough side boob, in my opinion.
Not enough side boob. So let's go into this. So let's first go off. Let's talk about Kamen America, because you guys' campaign is currently going on right now. Let me pull up my screen. You guys did 50K in the first 24 hours. You guys have 2 weeks to go, and you guys have hit $74,000. I remember I was talking with a creator. And they were like, yeah, man, everything's on Indiegogo. Look at all these huge, massive campaigns. I was like, yeah, but look at Kamen America. Look at the first one, and then look at the second one. They go, oh, they didn't make that much money. I went, but look at the backers. They're doubling their backers, and right now, you guys have 1,700 backers. How have you guys seen the growth from each Kickstarter? Are you guys seeing it? Is it still rising? Is it plateauing? What are you guys seeing?
It's rising, which is good. So between two platforms, Kickstarter and Indiegogo, we obviously have a lot of growth that's occurring there. We also have what a lot of people can't see, which is on iconiccomics.com. It's our residual sales. So the number of books that we're selling there per month, because that's where all the overstock goes after both campaigns are over. So right now we're looking pretty good. So we have 2 weeks left. We're about 400 backers shy of where we were last time. But on Kickstarter, as on Indiegogo, there tends to be a last minute rally within the last, say, 72 hours of a campaign. So right now we are projected to make that, if not exceed it by just a hair. And then after that, we'll go to Indiegogo, and we'll have to see how the growth there is as well. We actually have a nice kind of Venn diagram of people who don't mind jumping between platforms. So we've actually been reached out to on Kickstarter from people who said, hey, right now money's kind of tight. Are you going to go back to that Indiegogo? And we said yes. And so even if we're just a little bit shy of where we were on Kickstarter, I'm not too concerned, because I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a great number of those people who are going to shop on Indiegogo because they're not loyal to one platform versus the other.
That's interesting. We're talking about branding, and Chicken says Tim grew his brand via Red Robin Burgers. But yeah, no, I've noticed that with you guys' Indiegogos, they're just as, like, they're really good. It's not like this, like, ran like, oh yeah, we were able to raise an extra $500,000. I think your guys' last one was like an extra, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, like 20 or 30K.
Yeah, it was somewhere in there. And that campaign we don't even focus that much on. It's 2 weeks, and it's just the overstock that we have from the orders that we have. Mostly the people that we get looking at there come from referrals. So people who have read it because they bought on Kickstarter and then they referred their friends. Obviously, even though we don't have any major YouTube backing, so we can never, aside from you, Tyler, because you're very generous, but we always pretend that we're not going to have anyone marketing on YouTube or promoting us. So we always come in kind of fiscally conservative. But typically we know that guys like you, Wes from Thinking Critical, Douglas Ernst just helped us out too, and just some guy, he reads our book. So a lot of times we will get that push, but we don't expect it. We always pretend that we're never going to get it. So we try to be pretty conservative and pretty humble in our approach as far as YouTube is concerned, and where that final bump is going to come from.
I really liked your interview that you did with Doug, Mark.
Thanks.
Like
Yeah,
you explained the process. I really enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, so Doug, we've talked to him, just talked to him in person. I've talked to him over the phone. I've done lots of streams with him, so it's really comfortable to do interviews with him, since it's easy to just sit down and chat with him. But yeah, there's talking about writing. It's fun to talk with another writer about it. I'm going to start doing a series of streams with Wes from Thinking Critical, another YouTube guy who's always spotlighting us when he really doesn't have to. But we're going to talk about writing, so we're hoping to start that up on Sunday or sometime next week.
No, that's awesome. With it's funny because you guys with like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, I'm part of a Facebook group, and there was discussion like, is it possible for creators to do both Kickstarter and Indiegogo? And all four of us have done both Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and I think we all saw like our version of success on there. But there are some creators who they can't do both platforms. And I remember in a Liam Gray video, and I actually took down my Liam Gray video. I had no idea who this guy was. And they're like, oh, if you comment bad about him, he'll flag your channel. So I was like, okay, let's just delete this before this crazy man does this. But he was commenting how you guys didn't do a good job on Indiegogo, not knowing that you guys had a really successful Kickstarter. Why do you think it is that some creators can't do both platforms?
Part of it is that there are individuals who have been told that there's a political impetus behind what Kickstarter decides to do. Now, this is the only thing I'll say about it, because we use both platforms, and on Kickstarter, they have a vetting process before you launch the campaign. I don't know the specifics of it, because I'm sure that since all of us have used it, we've all gone through the same thing. Sometimes you press that button and it's instantaneous. Yeah. It says, congratulations, you've been approved. Other times you'll press that button and it takes a while. I mean, it takes anywhere between 4 to 7 days, I think, and you don't know what they're going to say when they come back. Sometimes they say, hey, you need to fix this, you need to fix that. My suspicion is that it's not in the initial period where they're evaluating your campaign, it's not based on who you are. It's based on flag content that their algorithm has, like words that you might use, or maybe some sort of image analyzer that's looking actively for something like, let's say, nudity.
Mm-hmm.
And then a human actor has to come in and evaluate it. So that is one thing that Kickstarter does that Indiegogo doesn't. But I do know that a lot of it does go to politics. There are things that I think Kickstarter says that I think rubs people politically the wrong way. But what I say to that in reply is, if it's just a boycott based on political motivation, you can Google certain hashtags that Kickstarter uses with Indiegogo, and you're going to find that they have the exact same political view. So as far as anything like a blacklisting is concerned, I have no direct evidence of that. Not that I've seen. I mean, there are people who I think are pretty right of center who have been on Kickstarter, who were maybe denied the first time but got on like a second application. So I don't see that. However, there are a lot of people in the comics community who are so convinced of that they don't even give it a second look. So some people who look at our Indiegogo campaign will say, wow, what a failure. They're not doing too well. And then someone says, well, they were on Kickstarter first. And they're like, Kickstarter? Like the thought just never occurred to them, because they've just been told, well, you don't go there. You don't look at there. So it's never crossed anyone's mind. So as far as the two platforms are concerned and the motivations behind why some people decide to use one versus the other, or exclusivity, that's really the best answer I can give.
So before I have you guys pitch the viewers Kamen America, guys, if you haven't backed Kamen America, I have volumes 1 and 2 like right next to me. I woke up at 3 a.m. on last Saturday, and I was like, oh, let me get some drawing done, and then I was like, oh, I still got 2 hours left before like 7 a.m. Let me read Kamen America 1 again. You guys should seriously check out this book. One thing I've noticed, and someone brought it up in a discussion. It was like one of those like off-air discussions. They said that like, what would you call like this thumbnail with like the 3 girls? Like, is it cheesecake? Is that what it's called? This isn't super cheesecake. This is pretty standard.
It's really more Sentai, if anything.
Sentai. So they said that you won't see like this. They said that you won't typically see on Indiegogo like Sentai or cheesecake comics, but you will on Kickstarter.
I heard that too on another YouTube stream, and the thought never occurred to me really. The only thing I can think of is that it's a very particular market that kind of flooded Indiegogo, and I don't think that it means that it's like actively barring them. I think that most comics creators Indiegogo, they're looking specifically for, I guess, things that harken back to the 90s. Mm-hmm. So it's mostly like dudes with, I don't know, kind of the extreme era. But that's, in a way, I'm also defeating my argument, because we did have like a lot of, I guess, bad girl and good girl comics too. So I honestly don't know.
But that's why I said in the off air, not off air chat. I was like, well, I think it's just most of Indiegogo is like those old school 90s comic. Like they're like, bring it back, and that's what they're all going for. So real quick, guys, tell us who is Kamen America? What is Kamen America, and why do people need to check out Kamen America?
So in a nutshell, Kamen America is just a story of the girl next door whose entire dream in life is to become a fashionista, but things take a turn in her life when an asteroid from space hits her, and she ends up getting superpowers. So the struggle that she faces is how she balances her own principles and her own morals versus the principles and morals from outside people telling her what to do, who to fight, how to dress, how to behave, that type of thing. And so on one hand, you do have kind of this fun blend of tokusatsu and the Western genre. But on the other hand, I'd like to think that we have kind of a deeper moral storytelling in terms of the things that people have to contend with. And hopefully people can extrapolate from it lessons that they can use in their daily life, such as when you're at work and you have to make a tough decision. It's this idea of what do you do, because you might be encountering something that runs contrary to what you believe. And we think that at the end of the day, what really is courageous is to do the right thing, even when it's not the popular thing to do. So these are kind of these very simple lessons that people can use, and it's stuff that honestly most people should have already been taught growing up. But we do think that does form kind of the bedrock of moral foundation, and I think it's something that's been lacking in a lot of comics as of late. So we're hoping to return it, and we're doing it with kind of this fun fun super heroine that people I think have gravitated to and seem to be liking.
Yeah,
What
one
was
of
it shocking? So sorry.
Okay.
Was it shocking though that Kamen Ramen? Everyone loved Kamen Ramen.
They
I'll
love
be
Misha.
I'll give you some insider baseball. I do not enjoy depicting the character, but everyone else seems to, and Mark likes the character. So it's my penance whenever I draw her. I do it begrudgingly.
Go keep it going, Mark. Keep it going. We love Kamen Ramen.
150% more Common Ramen in Common America 4, just to make Tim squirm.
Yes.
Yeah. But so one of the thematic elements in the Common America series that we're going for is the idea that if you have a choice, then you can't claim victimhood. And that's something that we want to express with the members of, they're called the Common Core. Looking at that picture you have on screen, the one on the left, the fire-themed one, is Common Comet. The center is Common America, and on the right is Common Ramen. But if you go and you read Common America Volume 1, 2, and now Volume 3, you'll see that each character has a choice, has a dream to follow, and in all of their cases, they were misdirected towards something maybe they didn't want to do, but they all had a choice, and they all had the opportunity to course correct. Like in the first volume, Carly is pulled in all these different directions after she discovers her powers. The military wants her to do one thing for her. She wants to do another thing. Her friends and her family are telling her to do one thing, and this individual named Lansky, who's a marketing director, is the one who's really pushing her to do things and say things she doesn't agree with. And ultimately, she makes the choice to walk away from all that and do what she wants to do, even if it isn't the most lucrative, even if it doesn't make her popular. She follows her own moral compass, and that creates a much harder path in her life, which continues especially into Volume 2 and into Volume 3. But she has the choice to do so. Misha, who's introduced at the end of Volume 1, she also has the opportunity. She's been following her family's business, which is a paramilitary corporation, and she has the choice to continue either doing that and hurting innocent people, or to follow her own personal ambitions. And so she makes that choice to walk away from that. She doesn't sit around and cry and whine about, oh, I'm being forced to do this, forced to do that. She has a choice. And same thing with Kimiko, Kamen Ramen. She wants to do something very badly. She's just not very good at it yet, no matter how hard she tries. But she has the choice. She can follow that path. She can learn from others. She's still young. I view her as the youngest member of the team. And so she's the one who's still finding her own personality and her own ambitions. And so she's still learning the path to follow. And that's essentially the message we want to try and send out. We don't do it in a way that's really ham-fisted. We don't flat out tell people that's what the message is. Like I'm doing now. That's what we do on YouTube videos, not in the book. But there's so many people out there who are being encouraged to be victims because they can capitalize on it, because they can monetize it, because they're rewarded for being victims. There's a chic aspect to being a victim now, which wasn't the way things were when we were kids. It was basically just, well, you made the choice. You have to take the accountability for it. You have to suffer the consequences. And if you don't like it, then make another choice and course correct. That was basically the way things were. And now it's like, oh, you can't do anything about it. You don't have a choice. Things are bad here. It's okay. It's everybody else who's wrong.
How dare you, Mark, make people responsible?
Exactly. And so the message, our books, yeah, people say we have a lot of cheesecake in our books, but we don't view it as any more than a 90s X-Men comic.
Yeah.
Their outfits aren't any more revealing or risque than what Rogue wore in the 90s, or what Warbird wore in the 90s, or Jean Grey. They all wore those skin-tight bodysuits, like Black Cat. They all wore that stuff back in the 90s. And that's as cheesecakey as our books got. But we still consider them all ages. A kid, like a 9 or 10-year-old could pick up the book, they could read it, and they could internalize those messages. And we want those messages to be something positive and something helpful that instills hopefully a sense of accountability and responsibility on the reader, regardless of how old they are. Some adults need to learn that message too.
You hear that, adults? Mark Pellegrini tells you to take some responsibility for your action. And if you don't know what that is, you need to go check out Kamen America 1, 2, and 3 and repent and come to your Savior, which is currently responsibility, and then later Jesus.
I'll tell you one really quick thing that's like analogous to that. So I was talking to some of my friends, and they're pretty successful entrepreneurs. Like they make very, very good money. And we were talking about, say, college. And they said that they both went to college, but they didn't last. They both dropped out. And I said, well, tell me more about that. And they said, well, the entire reason we went to college was ever since we were in high school. That's just what you were told. You just were expected to go. And both of them in their third year just said, wait a minute, I just got this job offer and they're promising me this much money. And I did the math. And with the debt that I've made right now, I just realized this was a job opportunity that I could have taken kind of right out of high school and made the same amount of money. So they both dropped out, never finished college, and they're very, very successful as it is currently. But it really brought up the subject of bandwagon fallacy, which is the story that we were told, the moral we were told as children, which is if everyone jumps off a bridge, are you going to jump off the bridge too? And obviously the answer is no, because that's a bandwagon fallacy. Just because
wait, how high is the bridge?
And also, what's
high.
at the bottom of the bridge?
Yeah, spikes.
Parachute?
It's like in Mortal Kombat, the pit, you know.
Kamen America
but do
at
I
the
have a
bottom of the
parachute?
bridge. Will she catch me?
So it was just this idea of how many people do we know? We know a lot who do have this sense of tribalism where they want to follow what people are doing, but they never really question why. Mm-hmm. And I think that the notion of independent thought and responsibility are things that we were taught as children, but some people forget as we grow older. So hopefully, as the series goes, we're able to kind of take these basic nuggets of wisdom and incorporate them into our stories.
You know, it's funny because I'm starting a business, and I was telling my dad about it because he was very much like, you go to college, you get a job, you work that job until you die, and that's like your life. And my dad has a really, really good job, and I was like, man, like, I don't really like this, and I think that's kind of a lie. But I did it, and right now I'm starting to I have a job, I have a good job. It pays the bills, and I'm starting this business, and I did the calculations. I just need 50 clients, and I already double my income. And I was like, I can find 50 clients. I have to work hard for it, but I can find 50 clients, and I've already doubled my income. And I'm like, this is stuff they didn't teach me at college. This is stuff that no one taught me, that they kind of like, they don't want you to know. And so, yeah, I think it's so true with, this group thing. Group thing isn't with the whole Kickstarter. If you ask someone, how come we don't use Kickstarter? Well, they're this. And you're like, where'd you hear that from? And then it's, the usual. And then they go, no, that's not true. And that's when they go, except for Red Rooster. Anything about Red Rooster is bandwagon truth. Right, Mark?
I'm not at liberty to say anything about Red Rooster.
Unclucking believable.
Unfreaking believable. So with this, now this is what's surprising. Oh, that's a cool layout. What people are shocked at with Kamen America. I know, and I know this with Volume 1 and Volume 2 was the price, $10, and you get the graphic novel. And what's shocking people again, besides the cool rewards that you have, I'm just looking at the main book, is that now you guys are doing hardcover.
Yes.
Can you guys make this a little easier for other indie creators who are trying to follow suit?
I wish. The story behind that is that hardcover, we had to negotiate a good rate to get it based on years of doing it with obviously square bound books. But we looked at our backer number rise and the amount that we normally take in, and we basically said, we think that we're going to be getting as these many backers coming in. What price differential can we negotiate to get it where we pay just a little bit extra and we increase the quality of our book because that's what we do. So I'm incorporated, so I have an LLC, and then I pay myself a salary. So I don't make anything more than what I'm expected to earn a month. Everything else goes into the company. But we make sure to set aside extra earnings that we make to improve on the next volume. So that's what we've always done for the last 2.5 years. We don't really pocket any of the money for ourselves. It all goes into making the book better. So one thing we did was, in case this just failed spectacularly, I made sure that we had enough to buffer it so that by upgrading to hardcover, I could take that financial risk and hopefully it pays off. Part of this is inspired by the way that the Europeans, primarily the French, look at trades. So when I was living in France and in Austria, I learned that the French were actually the second biggest consumer of manga in the world. That's really astonishing. Most people don't think of the French when they think of consumers of manga, but they have such a reverence for the printed medium. And I heard Doug Tenaple and I've heard him talk about it, and he and I have talked about it in terms of what can we do with the Western audience to make it so that not only are you collecting something, but the quality itself justifies the worth of it. And so we just decided, hey, it might be a bit of a risk, but what if we can offer hardcover but not increase the price of the book? So that's something that we're going to play with this year and see how it turns out. And so far, it seems to be doing pretty okay as far as our expectations are concerned.
And for those curious, Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Common America are also available in hardcover. There's a new feature on Kickstarter that we're actually testing out for them. Not everybody has it yet. It's called add-ons. So when you select your reward tier and go to the next page after you hit continue, you'll see a selection of a la carte add-ons, things that you can add to your Kickstarter pre-order. And among those add-ons are hardcover reprints of Common America 1 and Common America 2 with new covers by artist Henrin. Also the Velvet Thunder soundtrack CD and the Henshin Carly lenticular poster. So a few people are missing those just because it's a brand new thing that's on Kickstarter that's not on every other Kickstarter because we're basically doing a beta test for them. So a few people are overlooking that. But yeah, if you select your tier, then hit continue, you'll see that list of add-ons.
Nicholas Mueller says that actually add-ons are for everyone now. I don't know about that because I have my Kickstarter going right now, and they're not letting me do add-ons.
Oh, my Kickstarter let me do add-ons.
Really, Brian?
What you had to do, so this
You have
might
to
be what
opt into
Nicholas Mueller means, is that you had to apply for it, but it's an open application.
I didn't apply for it probably early enough.
You could probably ask them right now and see if they'll do it for you. Yeah.
No, but this is cool. I pledged day one. I try to be first 100, but people are so quick with this. I'm super excited. Last question before we get into rags. You guys didn't do. When are you guys planning on doing like what you guys did with Black Ops? You guys did Black Ops 1, 2, and then the third campaign. You could either get Volume 3 or you could get the Omnibus. Do you guys have plans on doing that with Common America?
Yes, it's going to be with Volume 4. So Volume 4, you're only going to get two options. You can either get Volume 4 on its own, or you can get the Omnibus. So for people have asked me this with regards to Volume 3. 3 is in essence going to be the rarest one, simply because it's not going to have a reprint. Mm-hmm. If you're going to have volumes 1 and 2, 3 is the odd man out, because why bother getting 3 when you can just get the Omnibus collecting all 4 volumes? Maybe in some respect, Volume 4 will be like that too, because it's going to be bundled in there. Yeah. But that will be coming in the fall.
Awesome. All right, sweet. So guys, I put the link in the description for Common America. Go check this out. It's no secret. I've said this a bunch, that when I was creating Chefs, I wrote it in 2018. I didn't know what to do with it. I shelved it. I started getting into anime again. Avatar: Last Airbender, One Piece, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I don't know. And I drew I drew a picture of Dairy King, and it was in an anime style, and I went, I don't know if people are going to like this. I then saw Common America 1, and that's how I found Tim and Mark, and then I was like, oh, people do like this style, and I started, kind of tailoring my style towards a little more anime, and then Tim graciously took me out to
I
an
did.
anime store. Like he treated me. I still got this otter thing right here.
We're we're otter friends.
We're otter friends. My wife was actually going through this calendar, and Brian, you got me in trouble with some of the. She's like, what's this?
I get
went,
everybody in trouble.
She's like, what is this? I went, oh, it's my calendar. She goes, okay, and she's like, okay, fine. And then I think April or like it's like the rags, and she's got just the nipple tassels, and she went, excuse me, and I went, hey,
It's for research.
I'm like, I'm supporting my friends. What? Weird. I'll skip that month. Like, and even now she was like, oh, she has nice boobs. Interesting, Tyler. Do you look at that often? I went, no, it's behind me. She goes, yeah, but when you draw right here, you're looking there. I went, yeah, so just.
Is she jealous of a fictional woman?
I hope not, because she's a real woman. So, hopefully not.
Oh, she's 3D. Oh man.
Yeah.
Man, I need to upgrade to 2D.
Yeah. Unless I got, imagine if I got that if I got that 3D statue, and then she'd been like, okay, Tyler. First she was on the calendar, now you have a 3D statue. What's next? Blow up dolls, guys.
Hey.
Hey.
We have body pillow covers. That's pretty close. Please don't buy our body pillow covers for that reason. We beg you.
If I got a Rags or a Common America body cover, I would be sleeping with it a lot downstairs on my couch
In the doghouse.
in the doghouse, being like, well, at least you love me, Carly.
Hey, but you know what? At least I'd send you a blanket to go along with it.
Ooh, there you go. I'd hope you would, because I'm like, this is your fault. She's hot. Nicholas Miller say, Tim wined and dined Tyler. You did.
I did.
And
We
I
were
didn't
just having
even,
a silly goose time.
and I didn't even poop once in the car. Like I got into the car and I looked at Tim and went, if I tell you to pull over, you got to pull over. Because I'm
Okay,
that was all
are we
for
talking
it.
real or euphemisms again?
This is
No.
legit.
It was
Okay.
legit and it was great. We hanged out for like 3 hours. It was
Yeah.
fun.
I ditched my wife with my parents. I was like, hey, I'm Tim. I didn't know Tim lived here, and he's coming picking me up. And well, you're friends with my parents, right? Bye.
Hey, now I have a question for you, Tyler.
Yeah.
So, thinking back about it, if you look at like Black Ops 1 versus Black Ops 2 versus 3 versus Common America,
Oh,
you
man.
can see this gradual.
Art progression.
Well, I don't even want to call it progression, but it's a change, right?
yeah.
And honestly, for me, it was hard because I had been so used to drawing in a Western style for so long that I basically had to consume a ton of manga and anime to get into the feel of it. So part of the reason why I took you to that store was I just said, hey, a lot of us are just looking at anime and manga now because that's what people like younger people are drifting away from comics because they're like, hey, we could have these comics that are kind of crappy, or we can look at manga and anime where it's fun and there's all sorts of variety. Some of it's really adult, some of it's slice of life, some of it's like romance. So right now where you are with chefs, like, are you adjusting pretty well? And have you found that to be true, that you're like, man, this manga and anime stuff is where it's at. Like, no wonder people eat this stuff
So
up.
I used to draw in anime only.
Oh,
That was what I started out in, and then I had to tailor my style towards Western. And so I'm kind of going back. Like, I've got comics that I made in like middle school, and they were all anime style. They weren't very well drawn. So it's kind of going back. I'm kind of like, okay, trying to get back into that. But yeah, consuming it's what's been really helpful. I downloaded the Shonen Jump app for like $1.99 a month. And so I'm just constantly reading and going, oh, so this is like, because with manga, like, they play with the angles so well. And just everything is so dynamic. And it's super fun. And this is actually a really good segue, Brian, to Sailor Rogowski, because you guys did a manga.
Yeah, backwards and everything.
Backwards and everything. I remember when you sent me the first file. I went, oh, they did this wrong. I went, Brian was drunk. He sent me the wrong file. It's backwards. And I was like, oh, wait. It's a manga. Hold on, let me pull this up. I won't show the whole thing, guys.
No, go ahead, show the whole thing. It's glorious.
It is glorious, but
Like, I still can't believe we managed to pull this off.
it looks so good. So this is guy Sailor Rogowski, hot-blooded foreigner.
Wait, hold on. Before you continue, I have to say this. You see the logo right there? The logo, the Sailor Gasky Hot Blood Foreigner logo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, Brian
Damn.
sent it. He was. I forgot if you asked me, but it was like, can you make this look more like
No,
the
I was
reference or something?
showing you the logo that I did. I was like, "Hey, you have any tips?" Because was trying to explain like what I was trying to do, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hold on, let me take a look at it." 4 minutes later, he sends me this. I'm like, "All right, that's perfect. Exactly what I wanted."
Whose idea was the eye in the gun?
I don't
Uh,
remember. If I don't remember
yeah,
if it was him or
I think that
mine.
might have been mine, but I do remember saying I wanted like a little mini M4 in there somewhere.
Wow. Gosh, you guys are so quick. My logos are awful. Like my
Are
original
they?
chef.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
my original chef's logo. Where is it? It's right here. It was just chefs, and then someone was like, "Hey, you should probably put like a chef's hat, like the symbol that's on their armor." I went, "Oh yeah." But even then, it's pretty boring.
No, I like your logo. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, the logo's cool. I mean, I went through like 4 different logos for Rags. I don't know if I still have those.
Guys, there's nothing more dangerous than Brian and him giving him access to Photoshop.
My
Brian and his
Photoshop skills have greatly improved over the
The
last
last
couple
time though
years.
that I was here, that you and Trent were here though, you guys were just showing off your Photoshop skills, and it was like an extra hour. My wife's like, "Are you done with the show?" I went, "No, they just keep showing me all the cool Photoshop things they keep doing for fun."
Well, but not tonight because I'm sober. I've been a little under the weather. Been
So you guys,
working pretty hard.
so you guys do rags, and a lot of people are shocked when I tell them this, that you guys do on Patreon $5K a month to produce this book, and you guys did Sailor Rogowski as part of that, and you did it in Luigi style. You made it more anime. What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, for one, we wanted to kind of separate Rags from Sailor Gowski, and the commission that I first got done from I can never pronounce his name right, Drakia Ranik. He was doing like Sailor Captain Marvel, Sailor he was like doing Sailor versions of like other superheroes. Like, oh, I want one of those.
Mm.
And so anyway, all the I guess material for Sailor Gowski at the time was manga style. So when I started talking to Luigi about this, I'm like, hey, how would you draw this? He's like, I would just draw this my normal way. I'm like, really? What's your normal way? And he drew like the first sketch. I was like, okay, all right, let's just go with that. And normally I'm very what's the word? I'm very particular about how things look. In this case, I was like, dude, just draw it and have fun. Like, just have fun and do what you feel is best. And you can see as he was drawing everything, he just had the greatest time in the whole world.
Tim, are you able to do this kind of grayscale art?
I am not, and I want to say that, I mean, as far as like upping your game, quote unquote, yeah, this is it. Like I
Okay.
I will not be surprised if this is like the next big thing.
The one thing I'm very proud of myself for doing,
Learning Japanese?
well, I've always known Japanese. I've just lost my conversational Japanese because I have no one to talk to. But I've actually lettered this whole thing myself.
Now I want to point something out too, because I'm going to forget if I don't say it. So
I know I messed some stuff up, but
Mark and I have talked about this. It's something we joke about. If you've read enough manga, you can always spot a Western artist trying to ape it. And when you look at this, it looks like legitimate manga. Like it looks like a mangaka or a foreigner, actually like an Asian dude, like drawing in that style, and that's good. Like if you didn't know that Luigi was like in the Philippines, you would be like, I think an Asian drew this, and Filipinos are Asian technically. So it looks like it. I mean, the halftones are
wait,
good.
Filipinos are technically Asian.
Yeah, they're like jungle Asians.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my god, I
Filipinos
gotta
are.
write this joke down.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
the
I gotta write this
Mexicans of
joke down.
Asia.
They're jokingly called like the Mexicans of the Orient, I think. So don't quote. That's I know a pejorative term, but that's typically how some of them are known. So some people are like, "What? Filipinos are Asian?" It's like, yeah,
Oh
they're
my
Asian.
gosh. Hey, real quick, Thank you, Massive Panda. Common America number 3. I backed Common America 3 a few hours ago. Now, how do I get every issue of Rags? Now, before we answer that question, I created a new super chat. If anytime someone gets a super chat, I play a silly video. I've got a couple videos. I was only able to upload 2 to the stream tonight. So thank you for the super chat, Massive Panda. Totally ridiculous. Thank you. How does one get every issue of Rags physical copies?
You go to your LCS, and as a matter of fact, let me see if I still have that link up. I will dump the link in chat here so you can order the trade.
Oh yeah, because it's through Indie Planet.
No, it's
through
through Antarctic Press. Yes, Antarctic Press has their trade, which we get absolutely no money for.
Go get it.
Yep. Go get it. Go get it. Go get it, guys.
Quick tangent, but something that I think a lot of creators don't do, and I'm really glad that Brian, you and your team do this, and Tim and Mark, that you guys do this as a team. And I'm not going to congratulate myself very well, but I do it. Is you don't just focus solely on the crowdfunding aspect, meaning that like for Rags, you can get the book on Patreon. You guys have a Gumroad. You guys are on Indie Planet. You guys have a website. You guys can also get it on Antarctic Press. Same with Iconic Comics. You can get all your guys' books on your Kickstarters and Indiegogos, but then you can get it on Iconic Comics if you missed it out. After I'm done with my books, I throw them up on my gumroad.com/draw and talk store. So there's a secondary place for people to get the books. And I feel like a lot of creators that go, it's on Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and once it's gone, it's gone. That's it. And you guys do a really good job at giving people more than one chance at getting your guys' book.
Well, for me, so everyone knows I'm an Army vet, and I still serve in the National Guard. And one thing that was drilled into my head with one of my favorite leaders, Command Sergeant Major Flieger, who I met in 2nd JCS. One thing he always told me was the maximum effective range of an excuse is 0. So I just kind of applied that to my life, like, and everything I do now. So when someone asks me, like, hey, where can I buy Rags? Like, oh, okay, we have a Patreon. Like, well, I don't want to subscribe to that. Like, okay, well, there's Subscribestar. Well, I don't want to do that. Like, all right, well, we have all these other avenues. Where do you feel the most comfortable about supporting? And that's all I care about. Like, hey, where are you the most comfortable? We got dogged for like 2 years about, hey, you guys need to do a Kickstarter. You guys need to do an Indiegogo. Everybody knows that I'm not a huge fan of doing those things, but we finally got to a place where we were comfortable last year, and we're like, all right, we're going to do the Kickstarter, and then we're going to do the Indiegogo, and we'll just see how those works. And they did fairly decent. You know, we were getting a lot of great comics. My personal favorite one is, and I quote, finally received my 6 comic books of Rags Uncensored. Read the first issue and I love it. The only downside is that there's lots of swearing and nudity, so I had to cover my eyes and censor the profanity with that. I have since made that into a t-shirt.
That's hilarious.
It's like when I was a kid and my mom rented a rated R movie for me and said, like, Mark, you can watch this, but you have to promise to fast forward through any nudity. And I was like, okay, Mom. Like, I promise I'll fast forward through any nudity. I didn't do that.
What movie was it?
Oh, what was it? It was a horror movie. Oh.
Did you get to see it?
I think it was the 90s version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was rated R. I think that's the one it was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's so funny though that she said that, like, oh, just make good decisions, Mark.
Honey, yeah. Mommy has an adult headache, and you need to go watch a movie by yourself. I need to lay down in the dark and drink some water.
So here's a rated R one, Mark. But promise you won't look at any of the boobies. Oh man, there we go.
Well, with regarding your question though, it's always a good idea to cast as wide a net as possible. I mean, we do the Kickstarter. It goes back to when you asked about Kickstarter and Indiegogo. It's like, well, why not both? and then you get both audiences. You get the crossover, and then you get the ones who use one or the other. Antarctic Press, it's always up to them if they want to reprint our books and release them direct to market in local comic shops and put them up on their web store. Some books they haven't wanted to do, and some they have, but it gets our books in local comic shops. And then we have the Iconic Comics web store where we have overstock stuff where people can buy our books in between campaigns. And a few of our books have started to show up on Comixology. They have a really long review process, so we're never quite sure.
Long.
Yeah, so we never really know when our books are going to pop up on Comixology. Sometimes it just surprises even us.
I hate
But
Comixology.
yeah, so we try to just cast as wide a net as possible and get our books out to as many different platforms as customers use, and then that just means more people find our stuff.
Yeah. What some people don't understand is like if you just stick to like one platform, like let's just say I just stuck to Patreon or Indiegogo or whatever, you're kind of pigeonholing yourself into one particular audience, and eventually you're gonna plateau unless you have really good word of mouth or you have really great fulfillment like Mark and Tim do. Like unless you have that spot on, you're just gonna end up just plateauing. So you really need to like reach out and spread your royal oats wherever you can.
And like for me, I missed because I found Tim and Mark so late. I missed out on Walmart. And so I was able to get a chance to get it when you guys put on that hardcover version on Iconic Comics.
That's the best version.
Yeah. Yes. Screw you backers. No. But I got it and I loved it, but like that was just another avenue because I missed out on the campaigns. And so yeah, giving people more chances. I just someone messaged me and they said, "Hey, do you have any stock of your Demons book left?" And I was like, "I only have like 30." They go, what are you gonna do with them?" I went, "Right now I'm just waiting to put them on my Gumroad store." So I'll buy one right now. And so I just shipped it out last week, and they're like, "I got it." So yeah, you need to have other ways to get it out to people. Ichthus says, "I'm so confused and terrified of the super chat vid. What were you on when you made this, Tyler?" Diet Coke. Because I'm Mormon, so that's what I drink. And I've got another video. I've got another super chat video, and it's even weirder. Douglas Ert saying, "I saw The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis when I was a kid. I think there was a scene in a strip club. My mom was like, I don't know if we should have brought him with us." my parents had a code that a parental code so you couldn't see some stuff. And one time my dad went to put the code in, but it accidentally went on the channel.
Oh no!
So I was like, got it. And they went on. My parents went on a date night, and I was like, gosh, I'm gonna watch whatever I want tonight. I was like in 6th grade, and I was like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, rated R, and I was like, I got this. I put it in. It was the new one, and right as I put the code in, the first thing that happened was. And keep in mind, I'd never seen violence in my life. Was some guy getting picked up. There's a lot of screaming happening, and some guy got picked up, impaled through a chandelier, and then he got cut in half. And I remember switching the TV off and screaming, running into my bedroom, and just crying.
And then you read your Bible all night.
And then I read the Book of Mormon. And I was just like, and what's funny is my parents before I went on my mission to South Africa, they go, "Do you have anything you want to like fess up to?" And I was like, one time in 6th grade, I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they're like, "Oh, anything worse than that?" I went, "Well, I mean, yeah, but that's the one I'm going to give you." That's the one I'm going to give you.
I see there's a comment on here that says Mark was watching Skinamax. Now, let me clarify about something. So, yes, but not in this incident. Now, there were several different generations of scrambled or blocked out cable porn. So the 80s was when the porn channels on cable would scramble it. So if you tried to watch it, all you saw was like weird, static and like garbled picture and sound. So you could
sometimes it would clear up.
Sometimes it would clear up, but that's the thing is that was the way it was done in the 80s. But people found that if they like jiggled the coaxial in the back, they could unscramble it for like a few minutes and then it would go back. So in the 90s, when I was a kid, the second generation of trying to block out cable porn if you didn't pay for it was that if you turned it to the Skinamax channel for a split second, you would see one frame and hear one note of the audio for the porn before it went to black and went mute. But then if you changed back to another channel and then hit return, you get it again. So you could get a strobing effect of porn. So it'd be like, oh, baby, so good. And yeah, you could hear like that. And you get like screen caps of it. It'd be like a slideshow where you're just missing every 10th frame. And that was what I did in the 90s until, I found a Playboy in like the parking lot. But
Mark, you know too much how to unscramble channels, and Full Custom Hot Dog, it took really good imagination to watch porn in the 90s.
It really did.
It really
and now
did.
we write comics because we have great imaginations.
Thank you, porn. Oh,
Well-
you guys.
I do not
Jesus.
endorse anything that he just said. By the way.
So bringing this back to porn,
I'm gonna have to take out you two, and I'm gonna keep Tim on the show before I get flat.
no, wait, I have actually. Darn it.
You go for it. No, keep going. I'm having a fun time.
Well, like, so a lot of people like when they talk to me or they meet me, like, hey man, I love your work, your art's awesome, the story's great, but I
What's
have this
your
like
porn
porn
password?
addiction and I can't bring this home. So is there any way I can send this back to you? Get a refund.
Just tell him to close his eyes when he reads it, like everybody else apparently does.
Like I didn't expect it to have like that much nudity in it. Like, did you read?
Man,
Did you read the synopsis?
Oh, and what do you say to that? Do you go yes, or you?
Like,
go,
I'm like, yeah, sure, yeah, just mail it back. Here's my PO box. Here's Common America for you to read.
He gets his
More
rags book,
wholesome.
and he goes. Brian messages back, "Hey, these pages are stuck."
Gross.
No, I don't even open the packages. I just like
Chuck it.
we have like a auction house in our Patreon Discord, and we just auction.
Oh
them
no,
off
you
there.
give
Like,
it
hey,
to the orphans. You give the soiled comic to the orphans. Mommy,
I'm not
someone
gonna waste it
sneezed
on
in my
orphans.
comic.
Orphans can't read.
Orphans can't read.
Well, you know, Ryan, when we were talking, I was, and like there was there was a time where I was like, oh, I kind of want to do what you guys are doing with the Patreon, but like it needs to be exclusive, and you're like, well, Tyler, you should put nudity in your book.
Hey,
And I was
it
like-
sells. It sells.
Well,
It
so guys,
sells,
if you
man.
guys didn't know,
like
if
scroll
you-
all the way down. Scroll all the way down. Scroll all the way down. See that $100 tier? Yeah, sold out. Cause it nudes.
Because yeah, guys. So patreon.com/Nanco, and I'm putting the link in the chat. It's also in the description. This is where you can read rags, completely uncensored, areolas, and
La 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 labia, baby, you got
and-
something for
and
me.
the JJs all over this thing. And the AP edition is censored, so that you can go to church the next Sunday. But you guys get really good reception with rags because people find out, Brian, that oddly enough, it has a good story.
Yeah, I mean, once you get past like the boobs and the other nasty stuff and body
That
parts.
scene where she's like in the air with the gun, and I'm like, wow, this is such a cool scene.
The
she's
colors on
butt-
that page for
Yeah, but she's butt naked, so I'm just like, gosh, like that's things are getting scraped up, and that's
Yeah.
hurt.
and you have no idea how much page he's in. But that page in particular, I remember getting the colors from my roommate and just looking at like that needs to get like put on a print or something because that was glorious.
Just ordered my copy of rags. Got to make sure I stock up on Jergens and paper towels beforehand. Just kidding. Can't wait to
You'll
read them.
definitely need it. One other thing that we do on Patreon now too, with everybody that backed us from the beginning, we locked those original tiers, and then we kind of adjusted prices to take into account shipping costs and international tiers. But everybody that's in these locked tiers, right, the first arc, we have like a loyalty program built in, so you get like free stickers, free prints, maybe like a free handbag or something.
All nude.
No, maybe.
Hey, Brian, what's gonna happen when you're like walking around? Someone's got a backpack and it's just Regina, and she's butt ass naked.
I'll be like, yeah, high five. Very
I autograph
nice.
that for you.
Yeah, right on the boob. Like if you ever see like where I always sign my books, I always like sign like right on Regina's boob.
That's disrespectful. What if I like wanted to stare at that and I'm like, God, now Brian's signature's on there.
Well, I also have oh yeah, that was a crazy time. I have a poster of me signing a girl's butt too, so I could just give you that instead.
And so I remember there was a time, I think it was last time you and I talked, Brian, where you guys were saying you guys were struggling to get over the $5,000 hump.
Yep, still struggling to break that 5K. Now our next goal is 6. If we can get to 6, we can start doing even crazier stuff.
Did the creation of Sailor Rogowski? Because once again, this is such a beautiful looking book. I'm so jealous of the gray tones. I cannot do these unless I were to color the book and then just turn the saturation off, which would be a complete. I don't know. Would that be considered a waste of time? Tim, is that a waste of time? To color the book and just turn the saturation down so it's black and white?
I wouldn't say so, because when I was starting out coloring, that's actually what I would do. Because I was doing like just pure black and white. So either something was inked or it was not inked. It was just the white part. And I don't like coloring. Like, it is the bane of my existence. But what happened was, ever since I started doing it, and I realized that there is a definite importance to value and knowing why things are lighter and why things are darker, and in terms of how that balances out the composition. So I did that. I did it the hard way for a lot of people. I would color the thing in full and then I would desaturate it. That's actually what I'm doing right now for Black Ops X Kamen America. We have a couple of flashback scenes, and in the script, Mark wanted me to make it look like a flashback scene by putting sepia tone in it. So what I do is I actually color the whole thing first so that I know that all of my values are present, and then I run filters through it to get the sepia effect.
Mark, I need you to do some more flashback scenes and some more Common Ramen, and I think Tim will stop drawing a page a day.
I mean, I am trying to kill Tim. You know, I don't want him to see 2022.
You can't kill him before I beat him, Mark.
Yeah, well, that's another thing I wanted. Like, so I saw a stream with both of you guys on it, and they were saying, and I think Tim, you had left, and then they had asked Brian, do you consider Tim like a rival, this competition? And you were like, yeah, and I want to be better. I want to do better.
Yeah, he's a rival. Yeah, he's a competition. But in that not in that adversarial way, like Frieza versus Goku way. It's more like a Goku Vegeta sort of way.
And then that makes Mark Yamcha.
Yeah, yeah. I prefer Yamcha.
Yamcha's here. Yamcha's gone.
Yamcha's here. Yamcha's dead.
No, but it's the thing about Tim is, like, every time I see Tim do something cool, it's like, all right, that means I need to step my game up and do something better to make the book better on the Patreon side of the house. And we've been experimenting with a lot of things, and we got some neat, cool things coming down the road here pretty soon. This should be a nice surprise.
Ooh, because of Tim.
All because of Tim. Because what happens is I tend to get lazy and comfortable, and then, like, you know, when you get lazy and comfortable, that's where you make all your mistakes. And then Tim's out here doing big Asian things. I'm like, oh, okay. I need to step up my
energy.
I was about to say, what a contradiction. Big
massive Asian energy.
I'm trying to keep it PG-13, which actually goes back to Sailor Rogowski in a way. Originally, like, the old script had like a lot more cussing, a lot more gore, a lot more violence, and I decided, like, you know what? Maybe if I tone this down just a little bit, I won't scare off people thinking like it's just going to be like another Rags rehash, you know. It needs to have like its own unique voice, its own unique look, unique everything. And you were asking me a Patreon question about that earlier, and I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember either. Was the Sailor Rogowski, did that help you guys push past 5,000?
I honestly don't know. I think it was a combination of our Indiegogo and Kickstarter that we did last year. And again, like, the response to that has been surprisingly good. At least to me, I didn't expect like that sort of response. So I'm thinking I may or may not do another one, just to test the waters again.
Not a bad idea.
I'm not a huge fan of crowdfunding, but yeah, it's a new audience, so I just hate it when like I do something similar like on my Patreon updates. I got to like ridiculous amounts, and it's like, all right, guys, please fill out your surveys because I'm placing the orders for books today. And then I get a message like 9 months later, like, oh, by the way, I never got anything.
That's the one thing I don't like about Kickstarter is the surveys. Like Indiegogo, it comes with everything and I can fulfill it. But with Kickstarter, they're like, I just got a message today. I didn't get my book. And I was like, you didn't fill out the survey, but I'll do it because I have your book packaged. I just need to make a label. But yeah.
They
I
need
can
to
see
call
how
it
that's
something
annoying.
besides survey. I think that's
Yeah.
what's confusing people. It's like whenever I buy something off Amazon, right? I get an email saying, like, would you
Invoice.
like
Order
to take a poll
confirmation.
for your feedback? You know, people see survey, they think it's like feedback, it's something optional.
Did you like
They,
this campaign?
right? Yeah, they need to say like, please confirm your address to activate fulfillment or something that makes it sound mandatory. Their
Yeah.
choice of words is really poor.
I 100% agree.
I agree.
Nicholas Mueller asked, Brian, I love your Patreon and how you keep it updated. What would you suggest to running a quality Patreon?
Alcohol, lots and lots of alcohol.
There you go.
That's
There
your
you
answer
have it,
for
folks.
that's all I do. Like so
Nick's
what
got
happens
5
is
kids,
every time Luigi drops like a page, whether it's a sketch, inks, a layout, colors, anything, I update it like that same day. Like, oh, bam. There's something to update, keep people informed about, hey, this is the status of things. Even with shipping can sometimes take forever when you're ordering a large amount of books every month from a single printer and they get backed up because you're just overworking those poor bastards. I said that out loud. Anyway, but you just got to keep people informed. Like, hey, this is the status of where your books are at. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing. Because nothing's worse than backing somebody and then ghosting you for over a year or two, and then you go to Walmart and find your book there.
God, man, I
And
hate it when
it's
creators
just
do that.
nothing's more frustrating than that. Like, I have creative friends who, they have books. It's like 2 years now. Like, dude, you need to update to something, anything like, hi, I'm not dead, or the printer rejected my stuff. I have to go back and look at things. Being as open and transparent as humanly possible in an age of crowdfunding, the way it's at, is going to build more trust in the long run. It's not just going to help me, it's going to help other creators too. Because like, if I recommend like Common America for somebody to back, like, okay, well, Brian's pretty transparent. I'm going to trust that, this guy he's recommending to me, he's going to be transparent too. So when, I go, hey, check out the Common America 3 campaign, and my patron is like, all right, done, back it, like, instantly. Because they know, like, because I'm as transparent as I am, and I'm always fulfilling that, hey, these people Brian are recommending, they're always going to fulfill, and they're not going to screw me over. So
Nicholas Miller and I have had this and Nicholas is so very generous at because I backed his Kickstarter Demon Hunter Raven, and then it didn't get to me, and so then I sent him my new address, and then I gave him one wrong number, and then he also did something wrong on the packing slip, so I was like, hey, let me pay for it. Because I gave you a wrong number. But he's been like, no, like I also put something in wrong. So I just got the message that I'm gonna get a book. But it's like, yeah, like fulfill your book and be nice to the customer. It's kind of weird that we're in this age of where creators think they don't have to be nice, be nice to the customer. And in terms of you guys like all leveling up and doing different things, one thing that being friends with Tim and Brian and seeing all you guys do different things. One thing that I really liked was just, and someone brought this up. They said, if you cheapen your book to a certain price, you're diminishing the quality of it. And I don't think that's true. I think if anything, you're not diminishing the quality by underpricing. If anything, you're respecting and overvaluing the customer, which is why with what we're doing with Chef's Volume 1, the physical book is going to be, it's 60 page, it's over 60 pages. It could possibly be 74 pages depending on stretch goals. And it's going to be $12 plus shipping.
And I want to add to that too, because I've heard that argument, because I remember when we did Common America 1 last year, people were saying, well, the fact that they priced their book at $10 means that they don't trust the quality of their book.
Yeah.
And now here's my, it's not so much a counter argument, but it's more of an explanation. It really is based on your marketing approach. So for example, whenever we would go to like, let's say Disney World, you could drive down International Boulevard and less than a mile away from Disney World is like the Disney outlet store. And in a way, like the luster and the grandeur of a lot of the expensive stuff in the parks, you start to realize in context that it's not as much as it really is. So it's like, oh my gosh, there's this cool like t-shirt. Oh man, it's like $30. And then you go to the outlet store down the street and it's like $8. And then suddenly this kind of illusion goes away. It just goes poof, because it's like, oh wait, the stuff that was expensive, that's not like what it really is. So in that sense, there is obviously a motive to devalue, to not show people the devaluing of their own product, because they don't want you to have that that mindset. However, I think the converse is true too. I think if you're approaching it from, I know that I have a great product, and just to show you how good that product is, this is our entry level price. It is the best deal that you can get. My wife and I were talking about this yesterday, looking at Elon Musk, for example. So Elon Musk, the Tesla is one of, you know, his corporation and stock ownership in it. It's a hot commodity. But up until a few years ago, a Tesla was anywhere between $80,000 and $100,000. It was a really expensive car. But now you can get it as low as like $40K. And part of the reason why is that he basically had his car be open source, where it's like, hey, anyone can make my car if you want. And the question is, well, why would you do that? Well, in his case, it's like, because I'm already on to the next thing. So you guys are actually behind me, but I like my car enough that it still has a value to it that I want people to have access to. And no one faults him on that. No one is ever being like, well, I guess that just shows how terrible Tesla is, because look how cheap their cars are. No, like that's not what they're getting at. And so I think we've maneuvered that pretty well. And I think that when they look at your book, and if you're pricing it at, you know, $10, $12, $15, I don't think anyone is going to think, well, it's because he doesn't value his work. I think it's more of a dare, because it's like, no, I do value my work, and I'm valuing it so much that I am lowering the price, because I guarantee you that once you read it, you're going to be thinking to yourself, this is the best deal that I've gotten on a book. So I think that is the alternate way of looking at it. And so far for us, it's been successful.
Yeah, and it's Specs Vision S. Is it going to be black and white colored? It's completely colored, which is so much fun for me to do. I really enjoy, just once I'm done with the line art, I go, I'm not done yet. I really wish I could just stop at the line art. But yeah, no, I'm having a really fun time making this book. And yeah, but I was shocked how many messages I got when I told people, hey, it's going to be $12. And they were like, really? You're totally undervaluing yourself. I was like, well, it's a comic. I think it's going to be a fun one, but it's kind of like what you said. I dare you to buy it. I dare you to check it out. I know you can afford to check it out, because a lot of these campaigns, it's like what the standard is, like 56-page book, $25 for it, and then like another $10 in shipping. I think was like this, like the Indiegogo standard of things, and it made it so that I couldn't back a lot of books, because I was like, like that's a lot of money, but I can back a $12 book, and more people can get that accessible. And you know, the more and more that I'm able to, the more and more I'm able to do that. Like at the end of the day, I want readers. I want people to read this. I'm putting my heart and soul, guys. I want people to read it. I could have 20 people giving me $1 million, and I'd be like, yeah, I have money, but only 20 people read it. I want people to read the book. So guys, I put the link in the chat. You guys can sign up for it. But yeah, I'm taking a big risk because of you guys.
You know, it's not really even a risk. You know, there's some people out there. Like I know when I was first marketing rags digitally, in other writer groups and other comics groups, you'd always get that one comment where, like, oh, I can't afford to spend money on comics right now, and then like, oh, it's only like 99 cents, man. Like, oh wait, what? 99 cents for this? Like, yeah, 99 cents. Like, you don't have 99 cents?
No, that's devaluing yourself. How dare you?
Hey, it was like, look, like again, no excuse. Like even on our storefront, you can get all 7 issues digitally for $7, $1 issue.
I think though it makes other creators, because you're breaking the status quo of, hey, we can price our books at $25 plus $10 to $15 in shipping. Like, well, I hate talking about him, but like the video I did on Liam Gray, his book was, well, for Americans, was $50 plus $35 in shipping, and then once
Makes
he
sense.
fulfilled it, it went to 20. He went back on the campaign. He said, "Hey guys, my book is now $23 for new backers," and I was like, "Okay, how much
What
lower
was the
can you
shipping?
go?" Yeah, it's still $35.
Yeah, okay. Well, as long as he's still making a little bit of money, because international shipping is I hate it so much.
Yeah, like, still though, the fact that you can price gauge that much, like when someone's like, "Oh, look, Ethan Van Sciver hit 1 million," I was like, "Yeah, but he got less backers, and a lot of his tiers were really expensive, like $2,000."
I do have a word of warning though for people who are like, "Man, this sounds like a great business model. Let me just price everything at $10." So this is the caveat to that. So there are a lot of factors that go into that decision, and the primary one is you have to know what your bottom line is in terms of what it's going to cost you to produce the book, how much money you want to make out of it, if anything. Let's say it's just your hobby, you could pretty much just price it so that you just charge for the production of the book and not make any money if that's how you want. But if you are looking to make like a tidy sum, or at least enough to cover like a month's worth of work, you have to factor that in, which means that there is going to be a spot where honestly you can't go below it, because then you start losing money. So you have to just take all of that stuff into consideration. So one thing that happens for us is that if you look at like Iconic Comics, after it's done on Indiegogo, it doesn't go down in price, it goes up in price. So you actually get the better deal from getting on the campaign. And the reason why is because negotiating a hardcover was not easy. So we are like at the bare minimum in terms of what we can sell the book for and walk away where we can make like a little tidy sum. So it's made like 60 days worth of work beneficial for Mark and I. We could go a little bit lower, but then we will be working for nothing. And
Yeah.
that's painful considering how many hours we put into it. So just for people listening out there, I don't want this to come back and haunt any of us when it's like, I priced my book at $10.
No money.
Yeah, and it's like I only had 10 backers. I'm like, hey, I'm not guaranteeing
Yeah.
that that's a method of success. I'm just saying that is something you need to look at as far as how you price things.
Yeah. No, it's, yeah, and it's, and luckily, for me, I'm the one who's writing and drawing the book, so at this point, just the cost is my time.
Sure.
And but yeah, I like looked at the quotes from the printer, and I was like, okay, at this, okay, I'm not gonna make anything. At this, I'm not making anything. At this, I'm breaking even, and then at this much, if I can get to this many backers, that's where, okay, I can start seeing a profit. So it's a gamble, but it's one of those gambles I'm willing to take because, yeah, I dare you guys to go check out Culinary Heroes Earth Force. Because I had such a fun
dare
time.
you guys.
I do. And in fact, I dare you guys so much that here's the first 12 pages. I'll put it in the link in the description for free. The first 12 pages are for free. Just at the bottom, you just type in 0 and hit I want this, and you can download it. I dare you to read a free comic.
Dare you,
bitches.
Sorry.
But yeah, no,
Definitely
okay.
get flagged now.
Yeah, you did that on purpose. Now I can't monetize my stream because you sang that song. Question though, who's gonna win in a fight? Sailor Rogowski, Regina, or Common America?
Ooh.
In an honest world, I would say Regina, because she'll actually kill.
Yeah, Regina takes no prisoners. Have you read like the last issue of Rags?
I've read up to issue 5.
Okay, like when you get to 7, we have this little in joke called War Crime. Yeah, it's not cool. It's pretty.
Do you? So because
Like,
Regina will kill, does that mean Common America will never get to a point where she has to kill?
So far she hasn't killed anyone. The problem is that she's super powerful, but she's she doesn't know how to use her power or wield it in a very precision like way.
So she wasn't trained to fight. I mean, she made clothes for a living, so she has all these powers, but it's not like she really knows how to,
Those don't correlate?
punch or kick.
Sewing
But
and
yeah,
fighting doesn't correlate,
sewing and
Mark?
fighting, yeah,
What kind of
right.
writer are you?
Now, the better matchup would be Rags versus Misha, Kamen Comet, because she was trained to be a soldier, so that would be a better fight.
Ooh, and they're both redheads.
Indeed.
Well, Misha's
Misha
redhead when
turns
she
into a
become-
redhead.
She turns into a redhead.
Yeah.
And
why
Regina's
is
a
there-
natural redhead that steals souls.
That would be a vicious fight because I mean Misha will kill. We imply that she has and she doesn't care. So
And
That would
And
be
we all know
bad.
how Regina likes to eliminate threats, make them
Yeah.
gone,
She
stay
knows-
gone,
And Regina knows how to take a punch like naked, like her like,
and a bullet,
and a bullet naked.
man.
Yeah, she takes
Like
a
I'm
bullet
not.
right through her
I'm
hip.
still surprised. Like nobody caught that lung shot.
Oh, when she's like flying in the air.
You know, when she's going through the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you go back and look at that scene, there's a lung shot that happens there. That's deadly, and it's something like everybody missed. There's a lot that went on in that book that just went way over people's heads. I'm just still laughing
They're
about.
like, they're
it to
like,
this day.
okay, keep it going. And you're like, no, she just
Right?
got shot through the lungs, guys.
Right, and
Do you realize this?
to kind of bring this all together, I mean, there's an Easter egg in Sailor Rogowski that actually connects it to the main Rags world, which is something I'm gonna be playing heavily with on our second season run. It's gonna be glorious, or as I call it, the Justin Bieber arc.
The Justin Bieber.
Yeah, it's all about going and shooting the guy in the face.
Okay,
no, it's
okay.
about Justin Bieber building an arc and putting 2 of every
Ooh.
creature.
Ooh, I like that. Make it happen. Make it
Yeah.
happen, you guys. So,
But they're vampires.
so how come, by the way? So, Sailor Rogowski, Regina, and Charlotte is not. Carly is not a ginger. No, she is a ginger.
She is a
She
ginger
is.
that
Yeah,
goes
she's a
blonde
ginger. Yeah, and then she turns into a blonde. But then
to
also
save herself from the ginger side.
But Penelope's also a ginger.
Yes.
So guys, and then Ms. Maple is a ginger. What is the obsession with gingers? And why is Meowry not your favorite ginger?
Well,
She's
because
mine.
my favorite ginger is Liz Finnegan,
There you go. Yeah, that makes sense. Fair enough.
and that's all I'm gonna say because the rest is just incriminating myself.
My favorite ginger is pre-steroids Carrot Top.
Pre-steroids, Carrot Top.
Yeah, he like hulked out.
Yeah,
That dude got swole.
make
I
fun
mean,
of my
you would too
prop
with a face
comedy
like
line.
that.
As far as gingers are concerned, so this goes into the whole theory of the ginger genocide. If you look at comics, redheads were typically envied. Like they were seen as like that is the peak beauty that you could have as far as like females and their hair color is concerned. I mean, you look at like Mary Jane, Jean Grey, Poison Ivy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think we part of that unconsciously or subconsciously influence our choice in design, and I think a lot of it was probably in a reaction to the so-called ginger genocide, where just to be contrarian by nature, we're just going to create an
But
army
red
of
hair is
redheads.
also so pretty to color.
Yeah, red is a
Yeah.
nice. Red is a hard color to color simply because you can pick a base red, but it's going to be influenced by your shadow and your
Yes.
highlights, like how it's going to actually appear. So it's fun, but that was it. I mean, it's not like we consciously were like, "Oh,
Has to be
this is a
ginger.
redhead. This is a redhead." No, it was more like, "Oh, that would be a really pretty character to have," and I'm guessing that she's a redhead.
I'd always say
I
that,
can I can go on record for saying that my choice of the main characters was intentional.
wasn't.
It was.
Was. Yeah.
It was.
I
There's
hope
a reason
so.
why it's a ginger and a black guy.
Oh, there. Really?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Are you gonna make
'Cause
an anagram joke?
Yes, I am. Very conservatively.
By the way, for people listening who might not know, Brian Ball is black/African American, whatever your parlance might be,
Ish.
so he can say such things.
Yes, you can. And well, Tim, I mean, you could identify as whatever you want. Same with Mark.
No, because
Yeah,
apparently,
Tim's got a black card on the way. Oh, I was supposed to say.
Apparently, there's a thing called multiracial whiteness now, and I think they're using it for Asians. And so it's like, are you serious? This is the dumbest thing.
That's as sad as it's going. Well, my wife hates it when I say this, but so we'll talk with someone and like we'll find out that they're liberal because they'll go, "Hi, I'm so and so, she, her," and I go, "Oh," and my wife instantly like is scared because she's a little liberal, and I go, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm Tyler, Astrofluid." And the person's always like, "Oh, what's that?" I go, "Oh, it's kind of like gender fluid. I can be male and female at any given time, but also because I'm astrofluid, I could be different genders from space. So you never know." And my wife's always like she immediately gets pissed.
Like, I can't take you anywhere.
Yeah, she's like, "You're being disrespectful." I'm like, "Hey, I'm astrofluid, and you're being
Respect that.
disrespectful. You white lady in your privilege, sit down."
And the thing, Tyler, is I didn't know this, but you're like what, half Asian too?
Half Chinese. Yup. Caucasian Asian.
Yeah.
Sounds like that exchange from Family Guy where Peter and Lois are arguing, and Lois is like, "Peter, you're acting like a child," and Peter's like, "Oh yeah? Well, if I'm a child, you know what that makes you? A pedophile. And I'll be damned if I'm going to stand here and listen to a pervert." And then turn around and walk.
Douglas Ernst says, "Has Mark watched Chairman of the Board? Then you know he's a hardcore Carrot Top fan."
I saw that on HBO back in the 90s, but then I changed it to Skinemax and I watched that instead. I do remember Chairman of the Board, but wasn't Carrot Top also in... No, I'm sorry. I was thinking of Pauly Shore. The one where Pauly Shore goes and joins like the Amish people to get away from like the mafia or something.
No, wasn't that like Harrison Ford?
What? Harrison Ford wouldn't do a movie like that. He has class.
He did Star Wars.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Whoa.
there you go. Oof.
Force Awakens.
Great. Now my subs are going down. Anything else?
The correct answer for all of this is Biodome. I've seen Biodome, and once you've seen that, it's only uphill from there in terms of cinema. William Atherton was in Biodome. He basically plays Walter Peck in Biodome. He also plays Walter Peck in Real Genius. He plays Walter Peck in every movie he's in, including Die Hard 1 and 2. That guy has no range.
Zoomy says, "Wait, Brian, you're black?" And then Specs Vision says, "Hey, tell the ICC guy you have a black guy on the show now." Yeah, I got kicked out. Another reason I got kicked out of the group, besides talking with Mark and Tim, was he was like, "Yeah, you don't have any people of color on your show." And I was like,
"Oh,
and
man,
I was like,
I remember watching that interview vid, and I was just getting mad, just rage.
Oh, yeah.
Rage is the only thing I could think of. Just tell me why. What do you know about Harriet Tubman? Like, dude, just shut up and tell him why.
She took one to the head and was awesome.
Well, I hope we don't cost you any more.
It's all uphill from here now, Tim.
Peeps.
Well, it was one of those I lost a couple friends and I got kicked out of some groups, but at the end it was like, okay, well, and then what I was really scared of was like, oh, am I gonna lose my chance with like some followers and whatnot? And it didn't actually. I didn't lose anything. I was shocked. I was actually grew from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you'll learn who your true friends are through like adversity and through silly stuff like that. This is why I don't join a lot of comics groups, because it's all just like groupthink and cult like behavior, and just like, no, you got to think for yourself. You got to act for yourself. You got to do what's best for you. There's things that some people do that I don't agree with, but like, hey, that's you. Go do it. I'm not gonna not support you for that.
So one thing I want to kind of bring everything in together, because I look up to you guys. I know a lot of creators look up to you guys and are like, I want to do it the Brian Ball way, or I want to be just like Tim and Mark. What would you guys say? My channel, even though lately my channel has become more of a commentary channel, and my content actually is going to be changing a lot going forward. It's going to be more like, should you read Food Wars? And what's Food Wars about? The manga?
Heck yeah.
very interesting. I did a lot of sex in that. Not like actual sex, but like when they eat the food, the girls have orgasms.
Yeah,
That shocked me.
I love that show.
I have not gone
Cells
that
at
far,
work.
man. I've only gone like 2 episodes in.
Like, I would
first,
recommend you
30
start with
seconds, she
Berserk.
eats the fried rice and she was like, ah, and then she ate the tentacles and then she was naked with tentacles around her. Like that was like the first
I
episode.
don't remember that. Maybe I'm thinking about something else.
I-
Oh no, it's because I was watching the Devil is a Part Timer.
Okay.
Oh, that was a good one.
I was just like someone was like, hey Tyler, you're getting into anime, you should watch Food Wars because your book's called Chef. So I went, okay. My wife was like, I was like, hey, can I watch an episode? She's like on her phone. She's like, yeah, I don't care. And I put it on, and then immediately there's like a boob that jiggles, and I went, I don't know what's gonna happen. And then the guy's like, try my fried rice, and she goes, okay. And she takes a bite, she goes, the flavor, the saltiness, close. And my wife's like, what are we watching? And I'm like, I don't know. So I kept watching. It was great. And I was like, oh, well, I'm sure the manga's not like that. I was like, oh, no, it's worse. But I can read that in private with my
God,
with my
I
poster.
can't remember the name of the anime. When I remember it, I'll DM it to you. But it's kind of like Dragon Ball. No, it's a little bit more safe for your family. But it's like these guys go around and they just hunt for food ingredients.
Okay.
Delicious in Dungeon?
No, I can't remember the name of it. It's got to do with the blue hair, big buff dude with the blue hair. That's not
Everyone.
Goku.
Tim,
I
you know
can't-
they're making that like mob boss housewife thing into an anime.
Yeah, I'm so excited. That's a great one.
Uh-oh.
It's called. I'm looking at it right now.
Legend of the House Husband.
Yeah, The Way of the House.
Yeah,
Husband.
yeah.
Yeah, when we were at the anime store, Tim's like, I'm reading this right now. It's so good. And I was like, that's such a weird concept, but it sounds so good.
Have you started reading it?
I haven't.
The art is really, really freaking good, but the plot is so ridiculous. It's like a former Yakuza boss decides to get married and basically becomes a domesticated husband, but he uses the mafia like techniques that he learned to be a better basically guy around the house handyman.
That's hilarious.
It's so dumb, but it's great.
Have you heard of this anime and manga called Drops of God?
No.
It's about wine tasting, and the plot of it is that this father raised his son to be the ultimate wine taster by like making him like eat dirt and say where the dirt came from, and all these like crazy like training montage things all of his life to raise him to be the greatest wine taster of all time. And then the father dies and will leave everything to his son, provided that his son, completes like some series of wine tasting challenges where he has to accurately, taste and identify like 500 wines or something. But here's the twist. The father had a second secret son whom he also trained in the art of wine tasting. And now the two half brothers are competing for their father's like fortune and company and prestige by going into a series of wine tasting tournaments.
So here's the thing. This is something that I'm like realizing. So I haven't bought a mainstream comic in a year and a half because they were all boring me. In fact, the last one I bought was Batman Joker War when Joker took over Gotham and Batman defeated him, and then hey Jim, how's the Joker? Oh, Batman, he escaped. I threw the comic, and I was like, I am so sick of this. Like I'm done. And I started reading. So I started reading manga and watching anime. And I'm like, you know what? These concepts are so like wine tasting. Come on, what a boring concept, and they make it so fun and so interesting. Like I was like, man, maybe one day if I can ever make my own manga, it's gonna be about a ping pong player. But like
They already have one.
They already have one of those.
It's on my list. It's obviously like cute schoolgirls, like cute like high school
Nice.
girls in like playing ping pong in tournaments and stuff. It's so nuts. Like you just type in any subject, and basically it's like they take it as a dare, where they're like, "What? How can we create a manga or an anime around the most mundane subjects?" Like I'm watching one. I think it's on its third episode. It's just about surfing. Like it's just about dudes who go surfing.
Have you seen Plastic Nissan?
Uh-uh.
Oh, that one's about just a bunch of girls who build model tanks. That's all they do, just build model tanks.
Are you serious?
So basically,
Yes.
they're like those Warhammer collectors who just have a bunch of little miniatures and they paint them for 22 minutes and you watch them do it.
Yes. And then they have like, little adventures in school or whatever. But
So okay,
Oh,
how
but there
come
was-
they're able to do this though? How come they're able to make
Because-
boring concepts?
I think it's because they dedicate themselves to it and they go all in. Like they just put everything on the line. And that way, like they're sincere. Like there's a sincerity to it. Like the best manga I read last year, and it was one of the best animes. It's called "How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift." It's just about weightlifting. I have no interest in weightlifting, but
You're
it was
right.
so funny. Like the way it was written, and every episode they actually tell you how to do like plank exercises and stuff. That I was just like, I have no interest in any of this. But if I was reading this as like a 16-year-old in high school, one, obviously like the girls are cute. But two, I'd be like, yeah, like I'm totally gonna do this. Like this is really cool. And I was like, that type of sincerity, you don't know if the author thinks any of that or not, but you get the feeling that they do simply because like you can tell that they put in their research and they wrote it in a way where it's so believable to you.
There's one that Tim convinced me to watch that was one of the funniest shows I watched last year. It's called Asobi Asobase. And the plot is just these three girls who are told that they have to join an after-school club. It's part of the curriculum. But they don't like any of the clubs at their school. But they're told that, okay, well, you have 3 members, which is the minimum requirement, so make your own club. So the club they make is they just play board games after school. And that's it. That's the series, is these girls just playing different board games after school. One of them is like they make their own board game where if they land on a space, they have to do a dare. They have all these other like weird games that they play. Sometimes it's what's another one they play, Tim?
There was one in particular where it's like they have a version of like rock paper scissors.
Yeah, that's right. And they just have. I don't think the show ever really even leaves the school because it's just what they do after school. And they do get into some sort of like shenanigans on campus. Like one of the episodes. So it's not a show for kids. One of the episodes is about the class president, and they've heard rumors that the class president, because it's an all-girls school, is actually a boy. And so the whole episode is them coming up with schemes to try and look up her skirt to see if she has a bulge. And that's the whole that's it. So they're doing all these like crazy, like almost like Wile E. Coyote blueprint things to try and like, okay, well, I'm going to pretend like you threw out your back, and so I have to roll you down the hallway on this like dolly lift, and I'm gonna pretend to trip and scoot the dolly lift down the hallway and between her legs so you can look up her skirt and see if she has a dick. And that's like their scheme, and of course like it doesn't work, something goes wrong. But the show was so funny, but it has almost like no plot. It's just these girls doing random things around the school, but it's so funny.
I think the reason why manga can get away with that is because here in the West, we forgot how to have fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
We really did. Like the reason why I think Rags is so good was that was me and Trent drunk and having the time of our lives.
Well, and there's another thing I think made it a success as far as Rags is concerned.
Boobs.
So there's a point to that. Comics is a relatively small market. So as small as we are normally, whenever you're thinking about regulations and stuff, the smaller you are, the more decentralized and the more freedom you have. And it's astonishing that a lot of creators don't take that freedom. And when what you did was, hey, let's just kind of give people this thing. It's this unique scenario with this unique woman. And I mean, it's really no different than kind of our mentality where it's like, we've never written a female superhero before, but heck, let's just do it. What you're never going to know unless you try. And I think that for the Japanese, obviously their manga and anime market is huge, but they don't have the same reservations in the political correctness that we do. In fact, the things that they censor are really strange. I mean, like they don't make any
like
sense.
hand holding.
like canceled. And so they're able to get away with it because obviously their culture has it so that they haven't lost their sense of humor. Now, as far as like me, I'm an optimist, and I just think that you look at the anime and manga market in America and it is booming. And I just hope that a lot of these kids who read this, I hope that that's the lesson that they learn, which is this is the stuff that's cool, and the stuff that all these other like 30 to 40-year-olds are making, where they're basically lecturing us all the time with their modern Western comics, like that sucks. We don't want that. So I think that it's a good sign of what people are buying as a culture, especially young people, because it's like they're rejecting the kind of censoring and the almost prudish mentality that a lot of people here have, a lot of the self-censorship that's going on as well.
Well, the reason why I started getting into like chefs was because they just re-put Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix, and like everyone of all ages, adults and kids, were like, "This is so much fun! I'm getting back into the series." And I watched it when I was like in high school, but I was like, "Wow, everyone loves this. So let me watch this." And like, why does everyone love this? It's not preachy. They're just having a good time, and they're just telling a story, and it's a story that both adults and kids can relate to. And I mean, even watching back when, if you look at like the cheesy, like when Brian posted some picture of Sailor Rogowski at page, I went, "Oh, do they defeat the person because of the power of friendship?" Even though like, in Dragon Ball Z and like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, those really mainstream animes that were like on like Cartoon Network and whatnot.
Oh, normie anime, you mean?
Yeah, normie anime. Those still appealed though to adults and kids because there was still adult stuff, but kids could go, "Yeah, friendship. That's a thing I'm into." And Shadow Realms, like casting my friends to my enemies into the Shadow Realm, like I'm gonna do that. But I just felt like things weren't like comics. I haven't had fun reading comics. I haven't been like, "Oh, that's a cool concept." I've been like, "Yeah, Superman fought Lex Luthor again, and he still can't win."
I feel the same way about like Batman, Three Jokers, and Batman Joker. Yes. We're like, "Oh, he's gonna fight the Joker again. Yay!"
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say the Three Jokers had a really cool like last 2 pages with the twist from the Killing Joke.
Yay!
But besides that, I 100% agree. How many more times can this billionaire? He's supposed to be the greatest detective in the world, and yet he still can't beat up this homeless clown. And Lex Luthor is the strongest guy, but because his bald guy is like, "I'm better than you, Superman. I don't like you." He's still like, I remember talking with a creator, and he's like, "The reason why I don't like anime is because every time they defeat a villain, they have to keep getting stronger and stronger." And I remember at first being like, "Yeah, absolutely, that's stupid." And now I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense. He's leveling up. It's called character progression."
Yep, and there's absolutely no more character progression in any of the modern day comics anymore. Like,
Batman
just
and Superman are top. They're the top tier already.
Yeah, but look at Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man hasn't grown up since like 72.
Well, every time he almost does, Joe Quesada or somebody else like hits the soft reset and turns him back.
Like, we just need one more day.
Yeah, right. Well, so one thing I think that for the mainstream comics, the big two, I mean, the thing that ironically, the thing that makes them immortal is also what holds them back in terms of their evolution. It's the fact that they have to always have that sliding timeline. The characters have to remain in a certain level of status quo. They can't get too old. They can't stay married for too long. They can't have a kid for too long without. Remember when Superman and Lois Lane used to be married and had a son? I think they have one again now. They took away the son, and then now they have a kid again. I think I found Anna out of it, but Spider-Man and Mary Jane were married. They had a baby, but then the baby got kidnapped. Now they aren't even married anymore. I mean,
they had a daughter. They had a daughter who was cool.
Yeah, May. She was the one that got taken away at the end of the Clone Saga, but then she went on to be Spider-Girl in an alternate universe. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that like the characters always have to stay in a sort of like vaguely 20s, early 30s at the most kind of thing. Whereas like indie comics and manga, the characters can grow and age. The stories are creator driven and intended to be finite. So like Ninja Turtles, probably the most well-known American indie comic that there is, the original Mirage one anyway. The Turtles aged in real time. In the Laird and Eastman canon, they use hard dates. So when Peter Laird was writing TMNT Volume 4 in the early 2000s, even though it was called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the cover, the Turtles were in their mid-30s. So in like the first issue, the Turtles are fighting these like street thugs, and at the end, after they beat them all up, they all basically double over and start heaving, like, "Oh my God, this was so much easier when we were 15."
That's hilarious.
And then they all have different story arcs. Like Leonardo's whole thing is that Leonardo leads. He's the leader. But then his brothers all grow up and go and do separate things, and he doesn't have a team anymore. And Leonardo's kind of like, "Oh my God, I have nothing," because he's not a leader if he doesn't have a team anymore. And so you see how he develops and changes as a character when his status quo alters. If more stories were like that, I think American comics would have that sort of, I don't know, that impact on people. Like everyone loves Dragon Ball. I have the entire, what is it, 42 volume set, but it's through the 3-in-1s, so whatever. But Goku starts out as a little kid in volume 1, and then by the end, he's like 40, and he's got 2 sons. And I haven't read Super, but now he's doing that, and apparently he gets
You can see them like grow up. Like I'm a huge Gohan fan, and seeing him grow up, and you're like, I remember like in the Frieza saga, he's a kid, and I'm like, oh, he's annoying. And then seeing him in the Cell saga, I'm like, oh, he's so cool.
Oh, he got so badass.
He got so badass.
Yeah, by the end of the series,
Great Saiyaman, I was like, nerd. And then now he's just a goof.
Exactly. And by the end of the series, Gohan's grown up, he gets married, he has a kid that makes Goku a grandfather,
Yes.
So this character you see, like when you introduce to him, he's 8 years old. By the end of the series, he's a grandfather. It does feel very there's consequences and stakes, there's lots of growth. And Goku as a person, he does change from where you first saw him. And when the story's over, it's concluded. Whereas Batman and Spider-Man and all that, the stories can never conclude. They have to go on forever.
When Bruce
Hey,
Wayne
we'll
Batman,
fix this. A
What?
crisis of sorts.
Shut up.
Oh God, no more of those.
When Bruce Wayne Batman died in Final Crisis, and then Dick Grayson took over Batman, I was like, this is awesome. I love this, because I started liking Dick Grayson. I was like, yeah, he's gonna take the mantle, and he's a different Batman. And then Bruce came back, and then I was like,
I don't like Grant Morrison's writing, so I really couldn't get into that. I read the whole Grant Morrison run. I've read the Black Hand and everything leading up to Batman's death and R.I.P. And then I read the Batman and Robin with Damian and Dick as Batman, and I just couldn't get into it. I didn't like any of Grant Morrison's new villains, Professor Pig or the Flamingo or any of them.
I'll have to agree with you on that.
And Batman Incorporated, I just did not dig it. I liked the idea of it, and I like Damian. I like the one thing that stuck from all that, even though Batman Incorporated got like Bruce is Batman again. Batman Incorporated is like, oh, that never happened, but Damian stuck around. So at least there's one thing that stuck around from that, even if he did replace Tim Drake, who was my favorite Robin. But Robins were meant to be replaced. I think that's kind of the system now.
Larry asks, this is the creator of Niobe, and Larry right now is currently in isolation because he has to get a kidney surgery. So everyone, thoughts and prayers to Larry. But he says, so basically, because we were supposed to close off the show 40 minutes ago, and then we started talking about manga, and we started having such a fun time. A silly goose time. And Larry's like, crap, should we all just be making manga at this point?
Pretty much. That's what I'm doing.
So Brian says no, Tim says no. Brian says yes, Tim says no.
I think you can learn from manga. You should definitely do that. You should definitely learn and see, because the whole print is dead type thing is completely blown out of the water just by the manga learn. One thing that we're doing with Kamen America is we're hybridizing a European, Japanese, and an American model, and we're just kind of testing it out to see what works. But that's the main question, is just when you look at manga, just ask yourself, why is it that it sells, and see what you can glean from it. And I think if a lot of book makers in the West were to do that, I think they would learn something interesting and hopefully beneficial to improving the industry. But I mean, for the time being, as far as like my reading habits, I mean, like it's like 99% manga. I mean, I'm like Tyler. About 2 years ago, I completely pretty much switched over. The Western comics were just not doing anything for me.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Oh, thank you, Seth. $5. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. $50 drinks are on me before we close. I really appreciate that super chat, and that gets me to my other weird super chat video. All right.
I love that.
Killed that guy.
I will say that's why I was late bringing you guys on. There was making that one.
That was good.
It was worth it.
Now, I want to know what Mark thinks about it, because I know Mark hasn't completely that ironically has a lot of derision towards manga and anime.
Well, I mean, I used to really. So I had this thing where I really didn't like manga and anime, but that was because I used to be around a lot of people who liked it almost too much, and that just made me kind of hate it because I hated the people who enjoyed it that I was associating with. But once I disassociated from them, I mean, there's some that I like, there's some that I don't. I mean, I tried watching a few of the shows that conceptually they're really interesting, but there's just some anime trends that I don't think are funny. That people really love that are in everything. Like, ooh, the guy trips and he lands in the girl's boobs, and she's like, itchy, and then she slaps him or hits him with a hammer, and oh my god, I'm so sick of that.
Oh, you know which one I hate? I hate the nosebleed.
The nosebleed. I mean, there's certain.
The nosebleed's like the most annoying one to me, but.
There's certain things in anime that I am tired of. The one that I really hate is I couldn't. The Dragon Ball Z thing. No, the one that I really can't stand, and it's the one that so many people don't. I couldn't finish Full Metal Alchemist because they do that thing where the characters yell at each other, and when they yell at each other, they turn into like big-headed chibi characters for like in 2-frame animations where their teeth get sharp, and they go, "Who are you calling short? I'm not short." Blah blah blah. And they do it in One Piece. They do it in everything now, where it's like in Kamen America. Like in Kamen America, we don't do it like that. We don't do it nearly as much. We have like a little chibi thing, but it's not like that. It's not at all like that. But it's
just draw some teeth in there next time.
I know it's so tiresome though. Yeah. It's more like the characters can't seem to have a conversation with each other without yelling at each other and not weird non sequiturs, which just happens a lot. Maybe part of it is part of the dubbing and the translation, but it always just seems so unnatural.
Do you think it's to break the mood? Like they're like, I wonder about my life, and then the person that back turns into a chibi is like, you are listening to me. And
I know. I think it is just to try and add levity, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, but it's also like the Teen Titans cartoon, not the current one, like the one from the 2000s. Like they would do that too because they were deliberately trying to ape, anime, and they kind of, I think that was like really bad in the first couple seasons, but I think they sort of like figured out their rhythm and got better in the later seasons with it. But yeah, there are tropes in anime that I don't personally care for, but I understand that they are parts of the aesthetic, and anime is not a genre any more than cartoons are a genre. There's lots of different types of animes and demographics, and same thing with manga. So I understand they don't all do that, and most of the ones that I read and watch, aren't like that. I have a pretty big Junji Ito collection. He's actually one of my favorite manga creators, and his stuff is nothing like that. But when I'm writing Kamen America, I'll occasionally give Tim some anime inspired, direction in a panel. They're like, put a giant sweat drop on this character, because I have to remember that, I'm writing something that's going to be rendered through an anime or a manga aesthetic. So I have to try and keep it in that way. But I mean, I like a lot of it though. I'm trying to get into it more. I do so Tim is more of the anime guy, whereas I'm the tokusatsu guy. So Tim watches all the anime that I don't want to watch, and I watch all the other shit that Tim would never watch on a dare. So I watch Ultraman, I watch Power Rangers, I watch Godzilla and Gamera, and all that stuff. I'm finally going to meet Tim in the center and watch Sailor Moon. I hadn't seen that since Toonami in the 90s, so I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, I got to rewatch that.
Yeah, I never seen. I've seen like
for research. Not because
For
I like
research
it. For
purposes.
research.
Switch Points on Twitter, who's a Sailor Moon fan, great channel on Twitter, but they hooked me up with a place where I could find the old Deke dub from the 90s, and that's what I want to watch. If I'm going to watch Sailor Moon, I want to watch the version that I remember seeing as in the 90s as a teenager. So I'm going to binge that, and that'll be because Sailor Moon in itself was a send up of the Sentai genre in the 80s and the 90s. But it was so influential, it became its own genre of the girl Sentai teams. And you get like Pretty Cure and Tokyo Mew Mew and all these other like girl Sentai teams specifically modeled after Sailor Moon. And even like, Western versions of it, like Witch and Winx Club and Kamen America. Who all do that. So I feel like if so it's something that started out as a parody, became its own genre, and then it's an evolution and different permutations. So yeah, Sailor Moon's something I've got to get better versed on as far as legitimate research for my writing.
Brian Ball with the $50 super chat. Brian, you could have just asked me to play it again.
Yeah, but that's like the normal person way of doing it.
But you're above that. All right, here we go.
Brian, get a super chat.
And I composed that song like 5 years ago.
That's so cool.
We going through your John Carpenter phase? 'Cause that's what it sounds like.
Hey, you're gonna like this, Mark. When we were at that Japanese bookstore, guess what Tyler bought? He bought the Ginger Ito collection.
Ginger Ito? Or
Ginger Ito
collection.
Thought everybody's fine tonight.
There it is.
Which one is it?
Uzumaki.
It's Uzumaki. That's one of his best ones. That one's really good.
I actually had to stop reading at some point because I was like, this is really creepy and I'm going to get nightmares. But it's good.
Uzumaki is great because I love the pacing of it. So like the first 2/3 read like an anthology where it's like episodic of just these scary things happening to people in this town, and then the last third it turns into this cohesive serial at the end where all the pieces come together, all the characters come together. It's an excellent work.
Larry has a really good question. He's saying you guys are all talking about how you guys hate mainstream comics. You guys make comics, but you guys all read manga. I am worried we are going to lose our comic culture turned into manga.
I think he has a point, and I think that's why a lot of people who do comics in the West, they need to just be in the lessons make manga so popular, because it wasn't always like that. So obviously there were things that we were doing correctly, and I think it just boils down to what is the comic art form in the West as its own genre, and what made it successful, and stick with that. Because obviously we all grew up being comic book readers, or we have a background in it. And the reason why we abandoned it to some extent isn't because we think that manga is better. It's because we feel like manga is doing some of the things that we miss in terms of Western storytelling. I mean, even Kamen America is not written from a manga perspective. It's actually written with Western ideals in mind. So I feel like we can hybridize it in a way that can grow the genre without, or at least grow the medium without abandoning it completely. Going back to what Mark was saying about manga and anime. So on the converse side, one of the recent animes I got him to watch was Kill la Kill. And the reason I got him to watch it was I have a suspicion that the Trigger Animation Studio, they're what you call Westaboos. So a weeaboo or a weeb is like basically like a guy from America who's like so obsessed with manga and anime that, it's almost like a pejorative, but some people don't care. They just like being called weebs. But on the other side, you have Westaboos, which is like Japanese people who have a fascination with our culture. And in terms of like Kill la Kill, and what's the other one that they did that's like really popular? Like Darling.
Gurren Lagann.
What'd you say?
Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann, yes. There is like a Western appeal in their comedy. So a lot of their humor is designed to appeal to us, whereas like maybe over there it wouldn't be as funny. And so I remember I was like, okay, I need to get Mark to watch this. And I'm like, Mark, just watch the first episode. And if you don't think it's funny, you don't have to watch it because you're not going to like it. And he ended up finishing it in like a week. And
Those
Yeah,
it's
I
because
would-
it's funny. Like it's legitimately
it was
funny
legit
show.
funny. It's I had heard of Kill la Kill. I just kind of didn't pay attention to it because I thought it was just another cheesecake anime, and it does have a lot of fan service, but it also has a really intricate plot and mythology, and it actually has a thematic message in the story. And the cheesecake is actually worked into the plot. It is plot centric.
His straps are doing
and
it.
it's one of those things where,
that
like,
sounds very, very familiar.
yeah,
Like a
it's
book
very
about a ginger running around a small town.
exactly
looking
trying
for
to find some
pants.
pants. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you can have your cheesecake and you can have your substance. They aren't like either or. We've had people who came after Common America saying like this comic is nothing but fan service and cheesecake. There's nothing to it. There won't be a Common America 3. This is not going to happen. This comic is just nothing but lewd and perverted. Like, well, I mean, it has pretty girls in tight outfits, but it also has a well thought out mythology, story arc, character arc, and substance to it. I mean, that's something that Kill la Kill had. Same thing is that you can have your fan service and you can have your substantial story.
How dare you? How dare you call Common America lewd? This isn't rags.
Exactly, it's wholesome.
Man, if someone's called Ragsloot, I take that as a compliment.
So final question, because I know we've been going for so long, and I'm having a silly goose time, guys. That's why it's going so long. I wonder what my wife's doing. I told her it'd only be an hour.
Hey, just tell her that you looked at April and you just couldn't face her.
Here's my final question, and this could be considered controversial. That's why, but I trust I trust you guys. So Thinking Critical did a video, and I didn't watch it, but someone told me about it, and they sent me the link, and I just never watched it. But they said that basically Brian Michael Bendis, his page rate was 1,000 a page.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yes.
Must be nice.
And you have people like you have Scott Snyder, and he's top at DC, and then you have or some all right. What I'm getting at is, but then you see all these artists jumping ship of the mainstream comics. But that at the height of comics, like of Image, it was a very artist centric thing. But right now do you think that because right now we're kind of like in a writer's dominion in terms of comics, Donny Cates, Scott Snyder, who have these loud voices, and because they're not drawing at the drawing board all day, they can write a script and then they can tweet all day. Do you think because it's a writer dominated world, and do you think that's the reason why comics are going downhill in terms of sales and quality? And is it even a writer-dominated world? Is that wrong to think of? But I'd love to get your guys' opinion on this.
So
I think there are a lot of.
Mark actually did a video. So for people who want to see it, the Doug Ernst video that he did with Mark is really good. They actually touch on this subject probably in greater detail. But I mean, I think a lot of it boils down to, especially in Western comics, there's always been this weird, almost feud between artists and writers that personally I've never understood. I think that might play a role into it. I'm not sure. All I know is that I have more writer friends than I have artist friends. I just know that the engine that makes it work is the writer. The art is kind of like the chassis of the vehicle, but the engine and the horsepower, a lot of it is writer driven. Now, that being said, I think the incredulousness isn't even the price. It's what people feel is not worth it. If you were to tell me like, hey, Frank Miller was getting paid $1,000 a page during Sin City, for example, I'd be like, I can see that because it was good stuff. That's almost like a seminal work. But I think it's the current climate where people are very frustrated with Brian Michael Bendis writing that they're like, no, like what? That's the ridiculous price tag I've heard.
I mean, there's a level of word. There's yeah, right. I mean, there's a level of, I'm sure a lot of that is cronyism. Bendis has made a lot of friends, and a lot of his friends have risen through the ranks, not as just, they may have started as creators, but now they're, the editors in chief and the publishers and things like that. And so they're the ones who will give my bud $1,000 a page. I'm sure that there's an element of that. But for a lot of the superstar writers, it has nothing to do with the quality or content of their writers, of their work. It's about paying to have their name on the book. Mm-hmm. Like when Kevin Smith wrote that god awful Batman: The Widening Gyre miniseries, the one where Batman pees his pants and Silver St. Cloud goes on a rant about how many orgasms she got when she had sex with Batman and before she gets killed, and it's just awful. It's just awful. No one was paying a Hollywood celebrity writer like Kevin Smith for the quality of a script like that. They were paying him to use his name to slap it on the book that has, Kevin Smith, bigger than the title, Batman the Widening Gyre, because they know that a lot of like people who aren't really into comics will say, "Oh, Kevin Smith, I know that name. He's made movies," and they'll pick that up. And that goes the same with writers like Neil Gaiman, who actually does have talent as a writer. I mean, I'm not going to tear him down necessarily. He's not like Bendis, who's just awful, or Kevin Smith's terrible comics. Neil Gaiman can write, but there is a point where Neil Gaiman is a brand name less or more so than he is a body of work. I bought this horror short story collection, and the big thing on the front of it was like featuring a new story by Neil Gaiman, and it was bigger than the title. I can't even remember what the title of that collection was, and it was a 3-page story, and it was terrible. It was this one. Yeah, it was a 3-page story, and I'm sure he got paid a mint for it. And it read like he wrote it on a weekend. He wrote it in like an hour or something. And it's just this guy is wandering. This American tourist is wandering around the countryside of England, stops at a pub and asks about H.P. Lovecraft, and someone in the pub lists off a bunch of his stories, and then the guy gets a plowman's lunch, and then he leaves. It's awful. It's just a 3-page nothing story that Neil Gaiman got paid a ton for, but they weren't paying him for the story. They're paying him so they could slap Neil Gaiman on the cover of the book. And with a lot of these celebrity writers, that's the way it is. And in terms of the artists,
Well, what do you think happened though with Brian Michael Bendis? I own a lot of old Marvel Brian Michael Bendis books where I was like,
I think he always sucked. I'm sorry. I think he's always been terrible. So hey, here's an example of some classic Brian Michael Bendis banter. Hey, you want to tell him about that guy? Should we tell him about that guy? I don't know if we should tell him about that guy. Hey, maybe you tell him about the guy. No, you tell him about that guy. Hey, guys, what are you trying to tell me about? Oh, we just want to tell you about the guy. What guy? I don't know if we should tell you about the guy. And that's 10 pages out of the freaking book. And it's
I thought that was just like 1 page, 8 panels.
Yeah, 1 page, right? Yeah, that's why he gets paid $1,000 per page. He gets paid 10 cents per word, but it all adds up to $1,000. But I remember trying to read. So Tim lent me. It was Ultimate Marvel Team Up, the one that had Brian Michael Bendis doing Ultimate Punisher, and I couldn't make it one issue into that run because every single dialogue exchange was written that way, and I found it so exhausting and obnoxious. I couldn't stand it. But he's got his fans who love the way he writes dialogue. It's like that girl from The Simpsons when Bart was signing yearbooks, and he signs the yearbook like, hey, have a good one. And she like hugs the yearbook and goes like, he writes the way people talk.
That's
like, that's how I feel like Bendis fans are whenever they read that awful dialogue.
Which is funny because Tom King writes like a robot.
I know, yeah, he's got no panache whatsoever.
None.
I did
Tom King writes the same story over and over again.
Oh my god!
I wish that story was Batman versus Elmer Fudd, because that's the only Tom King book I ever really liked, and it was really good.
Oh man, the only Tom King book I liked was Vision, and it was a robot. He writes for robots.
He does write for robots.
He's writing for your Roomba while you're away at work. Your Roomba's sitting there reading your Batman comics.
Hey Mark, you need to do like Kamen Roomba now.
Kamen Roomba. Yes.
Yeah, that Roomba's like
sucks.
he he writes like how we talk.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, Brian, what's your opinion on this?
Well, my opinion is, I don't really care what other people get paid. That's between him and the person paying him. All I know is Trent and I, we wouldn't be anywhere without Luigi. So it's teamwork at the end of the day. So we try to lift Luigi as much as we can. And at the end of the day, it's all just teamwork and effort. I don't know why there's a lot of animosity between writers versus artists.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could pay Luigi more than I do, but it is what it is.
It's interesting because, in Mark, your interview with Doug, you were saying how like comics is like this weird thing where the writer does this and then it goes to the artist and then it goes to an editor. It's like all these steps
Yeah.
of like people, and it's not like a real.
Wait, you guys have an
collaboration.
editor?
No,
Because
yeah,
like my stuff just goes straight to Luigi, and then we just go from there.
no, Tim's my editor, so yeah, but no, and it's almost like the editors and the publishers at the mainstream comics, they want to sow the derision between artist and writer, that they want to maintain that divide, because then if the artists and the writers got along and became friends and directly collaborated, then they may not need the editor and the publisher and the mainstream industry anymore, and then they go off and do their own books. So it behooves the editors at Marvel and DC to keep the writers and the artists apart and keep them hating each other.
So what you're saying is, if they got along, they might actually make something good.
Exactly.
So
I'm pretty
that
sure
explains the Dan Slott. That explains that Dan Slott HBO thing, or Disney Plus.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because now all the artists are like, "Oh my god, I would never want to work with him."
Where he's,
Exactly.
like,
How many
with his
people would
script
actually
and
want to
that.
work with Mark Waid if they had to actually talk to him, you know? And that's the
Right.
thing is, like, before I found out Mark Waid was such a dick, I mean, I liked a lot of his writing, a lot of his run on The Flash. I mean, he wrote a bunch of great comics. The guy's just got a terrible, terrible personality. But the same as, like, Harlan Ellison. That guy, I don't like him as a person. I'm not saying I'm glad he's dead. I'm just glad I don't have to listen to him anymore. But he wrote great fiction. He was a great writer. He had an awful, awful temperamental personality. And that's a very common thing. You know, being good at something doesn't always translate to being a good person.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I had Heather Antos on the show, and even though like on Twitter we probably look like we hate each other, I had a great conversation with her. She was really nice. She was a really nice person.
Most people are.
Yeah.
It really depends on how you approach them, really.
Yeah, we do a lot of conventions, and I mean, we've encountered people who don't necessarily share our same politics or viewpoints, but we get along like well because you end up seeing the same people over and over again. And I think that's a testimony, at least, to human contact. I think that when you have dinner with someone or eat with or spend some time with them, it ameliorates a lot of this. Now, I think the real existential question is, which is the real you? Is it the real you in person, or is it the real you who is talking online, right? Like, it's the whole like id, ego, super ego type thing.
Keyboard warrior.
Yeah, keyboard warrior type thing. So I don't know. I try to give people some wide berth. Funny thing about Heather Antos is that when I had on my my Twitter account for Ninja Inc. art, she retweeted like some of my Gwenpool art that I did. So I've never had a problem with her as far as interactions go. Now, some of the behavior that I think she gets a lot of flack for, I mean, that's obviously something that she has to either vouch for or dispute on her own. But I had the same experience with her as you just described.
Yeah, like if you were to really sit down with someone, you'd realize, oh, we actually have a lot in common more than our differences. It's just that we like to post our differences out on social media. So really, guys, just be nice people and have a silly goose time and just make better comics. Let's all make
And get your
some
stuff
fun
out on
comics.
time.
And get your book out on time. I'm hoping to have my book out before Red Rooster. If I can beat Red Rooster, I will have been able to put
If you beat
three
Red
graphic
Rooster,
novels out.
you win.
I'll have put out 3 graphic novels, like over 400 pages, before Red Rooster.
No,
That's
because
fine.
Red Rooster and the Pink Puma is already out.
Oh,
Oh, dang it.
I think
Oh,
you
I
can
have a
buy that
copy
on
of
Indie
that.
Planet.
I think I got that on Kickstarter. Yeah, I've got a
Yeah,
copy
that's on
of that.
Kickstarter.
I got a copy of that like a year and a half ago, but yeah, I got a copy of that.
Oh my gosh. So guys, thank you everyone for watching. Before we end, we have to give everyone a chance to once again shill. I had such a fun time talking with these guys, and a lot of it was selfish conversation. Thank you everyone who was in the chat. I did try my best, but sometimes you just get into these conversations. Thank you LP for modding it and keeping out the links going. Really appreciate that. So real quick, let's go Brian first this time. Brian, tell us about your Patreon. Tell us about Rags. Tell us about Sailor Rogowski. Why should people go onto your guys' Patreon? And this is a form of crowdfunding. It's just a subscription kind of way, but
Yes.
these guys deliver. So tell us about it.
So the way we go about things is the books are coming out whether you want them or not. This just helps us, print and ship them out faster. We will do our best to get things. I'm sorry, I'm just like dead tired. I'm not actually right, but everything Rags related, Sailor Rogowski related, it's there on our Patreon. Sailor Rogowski is technically Rags number 8, so you're not gonna want to miss out on some of the cooler things that we have in store.
Boom.
Yeah,
It's
boom.
and like you guys,
You can come in, check us out for $1, and then
this is how I know
Yeah.
you guys deliver. You have 315 people who are paying each month. They would drop out if you didn't deliver. I did when I opened up my Patreon, the very first month I had like 10 people jump in, and then life hit me in the face and I didn't publish anything, and then I lost 8 of those people. And I was like, fair enough. I didn't do anything.
It happens when you don't update.
Exactly.
This also doesn't account, like, I keep forgetting, like, we have a subscribe star. I think we have like 20 people over there, 5 or 10 people over there. So if you don't like Patreon, we have subscribe star. I don't update as much as I should, but I do post enough. But yeah, we got some pretty neat things coming down the pipeline here pretty soon. And we also have something very, very special, a secret project coming up here pretty soon. If you don't follow my colors, Sketchy Raven, on Twitter, she's posted about it. And I'll just let you get all of your information from her. But it's going to be real neat.
Boom.
And
Guys,
join
go
us.
Check this out.
Yeah,
I've read
this
Sailor
second
Rogowski,
season arc is
and
going to be
it's so good.
great.
What's the second season called again?
The Justin Bieber arc.
Okay. What's the one with the Mancy? Am I allowed to say that?
Negromancy?
I just don't want to get.
Everyone can say it. Everyone can say it. It's for
I'm scared.
everybody.
I'm scared.
Look, I just need you to look and dig deep inside at your inner knee, black person.
Don't listen to him, Tyler. It's a trick.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
He's so persuasive. He's saying good things will happen if I say this word.
It'll make your teeth feel whiter.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my stars! All right, guys, go check out this.
Like, trust me, if you think this is just zombies, we have a bunch of surprises waiting in store. And that one crossover thing that I was supposed to be doing, we're starting in 4 months. So, yay, that'll be a thing.
Guys, Brian works super hard at his I want to say day job, but it's mostly in the morning, and then the rest of the time he's doing this stuff. So he's super hard worker. That's why he's so freaking tired, and the booze are what's keeping him up.
You have no idea. I start work at 4:30. I get home at 2. I just finished packing up my Patreon exclusives that I'm gonna mail out Saturday, and I still have my Twitch stuff that I need to mail out. So yeah, keep that iron burning.
How dare you be busy and fulfill and treat your customers great?
Right,
Oh,
I should take the bright riser approach.
Shame
But
on
hey,
you.
if you help us reach our goal of hitting 6K, I can quit my job and do this full time.
Oh, guys, that's great.
Full time, and I can still eat noodles while Luigi eats caviar.
All right, guys. Common America Volume 3. You guys tell us, why do we need to follow Carly and the Common Court?
So Common America Volume 3 is on Kickstarter. You can get the previous first 2 volumes as an add-on. So if you're wondering where they are, just check out with Volume 3 or any of the associated pledges, and then you'll have the option to add those on at checkout. As we said in the beginning of this episode, Common America is a story of the girl next door who has aspirations to be a fashion designer. Obviously, fate takes her in a completely different direction, and what she has to do is she has to measure her principle versus what other people tell her now that she has a star that's rising pretty quickly. So we have a lot of fun. It's a silly goose time. There's a lot of action. There's a great bit of drama involved, but we get to the heart of what we think makes for good storytelling and for appealing heroines.
Boom. I like that. One of the I have both of the volumes. One of them's right here. Right there. Oh crap, there's my weekly to-do list. One of the things I really liked, I have a son, so I don't have any daughters, and I don't want a daughter. I pray to God I don't have any daughters. I told
Oh gosh.
I'm dead. No, I was
Wow.
like, I said it. I'd pray and be like, hey God, I'm in South Africa right now, trying to preach the good word, and if I do a good job, please don't give me a daughter because I will love them too much. I will love them too much, and then if a guy looks at them, I'll be like, back up, I'll kill you if you look at my daughter. But one of the
You
things
just don't want to have to pay a dowry when they get married. That's all.
all right, Mark got me. I don't want to have to feel. I don't have to pay for that wedding. But like when
And before Tyler hates women.
Brian, you're gonna get me canceled.
Hey, that calendar in the background says otherwise.
You're right. Show me April again.
I already got flagged by YouTube once today. Can't do it again. But like the first 2 pages of the first volume, where Carly, she's like saying like society's telling me to be this, to be basically be a boy, and like the dad was like, you are a female, be proud of it, you're a girl. If you want to do girly things, do girly things, be proud of it, and just become who you are. And I immediately was like, I thought this was a superhero book. This is a really good message. So there is substance to it, and that's also I think when people look at Kamen America and when people look at Rags, yeah, the initial thought might be, oh, it's cheesecake, and it's really not. They're both really, really good stories. I can't praise both of these enough. In fact, hold on, I just have to click this button. I just bought the trade paperback for Rags, so hopefully that gets to me soon because it's only priority shipping. But yeah, Nicholas Miller says I have 3 daughters and it's the best, man. I can't do it, Nicholas. I have a son. The only word he can say right now, he can say a lot of words, but the only thing he will say right now is Batman. Like there's like a video, and my wife's like, "What are we watching?" He's like, "Batman." And she's like, "No, it's Catboy," and he like gets really angry. He goes, "No, Batman." So he's obsessed with Batman right now. I just don't know. I grew up with all boys, so I'm not good with the ladies. I don't know if I could be good with the daughters. I'd freak out. They're like, "Hey, Dad, I'm 14." I'd be like, "Go to your mom." I don't know. Go to your mom. I'll probably cry. Yeah, I couldn't do it. So guys, but seriously though, like Nicholas, have you read Kamen America to your daughters? I want to what that'd be like. So yeah, guys, go check these books out. If we can get Brian to 6,000 on his Patreon, he can do this full time. He doesn't have to wake up at 4:30 a.m. But who knows? He might be waking up at 4:30 a.m.
I'll wake up at 4:30 just to work on the book.
Yeah, but at least he'll deliver. And then guys, you guys have a crap ton of volumes planned for Kamen America, don't you?
We have it planned to at least, I want to say 16 so far.
So now's a good time so that you don't have to eventually play the whole catch up on the omnibus. This is a good time to jump in.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're not even done with the first story arc. So we're calling our story arcs sagas. We're doing the weeaboo thing, like, oh, it's the Garlic Jr. saga, or oh, it's the Dark Tournament saga. So that's an anime manga trope that we're adapting. So we're still in the first saga. So if it's still time to get in on the ground floor. I'm at the very beginning of Kamen America.
Oh, I like that, sagas. That's dope. So guys,
don't you dare steal it.
Link in the descriptions down below. And then, guys, you can get the first book of the Chef's Volume 1 saga.
Damn it, Tyler!
No, you guys. So then right here, this launches on February 15th. Chef's Culinary Heroes Earth Force Volume 1 Pasta La Vista. Can Dairy King reassemble his original superhero team in order to stop a pasta invasion? It's 60 pages of interior artwork, and then in between each act there is a recipe that goes along with some part of the book, created by yours truly, Good Luck. And yeah, we have 2 covers. We have this main cover drawn by me and colored by, I actually don't want to highlight the colors because he's ghosted a lot of people, I found out, and I don't know how I feel about that. But then we have this variant cover by Joel Souza of Ms. Maple in a Bruce Timm style. Very excited for that, and yeah, it's gonna be a silly goose time. And if we can get all my stretch goals are backer based. It's not money based. So if we can get to a certain backer amount, when this free page F's number 0 Breadsticks Unlimited, it'll go into the main book as well. So I'm excited for that, and it's the first book out of 3, and each arc or saga is mine are called.
Tyler, I'm never trusting you again.
Mine are called courses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is this first arc is called the first course of the meal, and there's going to be 4 courses. So this is a good time to jump on in my saga.
We all know what's cooking.
Do we all know?
Any appetizers?
That's hilarious. All right, guys. So where can everyone find you? Brian, where can people find you on the internets?
You can find me on Twitter at rags_comics, I think. I always change that thing. Yeah, rags_comics with an X. Or you can find me on Facebook or Minds. Oh, yeah, I'm also on Minds. Rags Zombie on Minds.
I'm liking Minds.
I love
Me too.
mines.
I like Minds.
I like the token system there. Now that I figured out how to use it, it's actually really helpful.
You guys with your token systems, have you guys thought about promoting your
We do
Kickstarter
promote
on
on
the?
I do.
Yeah,
You
we've
do?
started doing that on Minds. Yeah, now
Yeah.
that I know how to use the token system to boost my posts, I've been using it on the Kamen America shill posts, basically.
Yeah, I've been engaging with a lot of people, and I like that I'm being rewarded with this. So I'm like, if I can just keep doing this, I can get enough tokens to get free advertisement basically on Minds.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
like going to
guys.
Chuck E. Cheese's.
You get a token. You get a token. Everyone gets a token. It's my birthday.
And there's pee on it.
Yeah.
And Tim, where
I
can
got
people find
salmonella
you?
from the ball pit.
Worth it. But at least you didn't have to watch your kid.
True.
Tim, where can people find you?
So they can find me on Minds at Ninja Inc. Same thing with Instagram as well. On Twitter, if they just want Common America news, they can just use the handle that I have right here on our presentation at the Common America.
Nice. I like that. I think it's cool that you guys gave her own Twitter.
We had to
Well, a couple
because
people beat us to it.
someone's took the other one. They've since abandoned it, so I'm on the
That
waiting list to
sucks.
recover it.
Oh, what a dick move.
But they were kind, so I think they just were fans. And I think they gave it up
Yeah.
willingly.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, we're
okay.
not mad at them. We're just like, oh, somebody made a Common America account, so Tim made the Common America, just there wouldn't be any
Oh.
confusion, which was the official one. But yeah, the one that's out there that's at Common America is not it's not mean to Common America. It's actually nice.
Had they kept it going though, like updated every single day, would you guys have just let them do it?
Yeah, there's nothing else you can do.
That's true. Mark, where can people find you?
So I'm on Minds and I'm on Twitter, and I have the same handle on both. It is Pellecreepy, PELLECREEPY, which I just popped over into the chat for people who want to look that up. And I'm also on Amazon. I have a few books on Amazon. Would you mind if I private chatted you the link to my
Absolutely.
Amazon author page?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you are just a handsome man.
Also, your photo's so creepy. What is that and why?
Everybody asks, and it always disappoints me because it means that there are still people out there in this world who haven't watched Rock and Roll Nightmare starring John Michael Thor of the band John Michael Thor. So, I mean, that's unforgivable. But before I get mad at you for that, please post the link to my Amazon.
But here it is. Check it out, everyone.
Yeah, that's where you can find my prose work. I've had my shorts. I write horror fiction. I had one published by Cursova magazine last year. I'm going to have another one posted in the winter edition of Cursova magazine this year, but you can get that back issue. It's a pulp anthology magazine, and it has a lot of better writers than me in there as well, so read it for their stuff too. There's also my horror novel, They'll Get You, which came out last year. If you liked Are You Afraid of the Dark, the idea of kids in the suburbs being terrorized by monsters, then you may dig They'll Get You. And then my very first novel, The Ballad of Doc Holliday and the Blood-Sucking Locomotive. It is a novel-length ballad written entirely in rhyming couplets. It's maybe a little ambitious for its own good, but it was the first thing I ever wrote and published. So that's on there too. But yes, I'm on Amazon.
I dig it. I dig it. I think I like it when creators use Amazon. I think it's cool. I'm considering like like John Del Rose. He puts all of his books on print on demand on Amazon. Always thought about that. That's
Yeah.
I'd love to use Amazon, but I got banned for pornography.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, and that's why I can't. That's why I can't use Amazon Pay on my storefront anymore.
This silly goose time has involved a lot of people getting in trouble for pornography. What's
Mostly Tyler.
No. Mark was the one who was like, "Yeah, it's like a slideshow of porn."
You're the guy who posted rags porn in the thumbnail and had your video deleted. And Brian got banned from Amazon for porn. Tim, are you the only pure of heart individual in this chat right now?
I am.
Take me to heaven with you. I'll hold on to your coattails. I'll like hold on to your Apple Pencil. Like, don't let go.
I think it was funny that when Mark was telling that story about flipping through every other frame to watch pornography, like I was the only one like laughing because I was like, I bet these other two guys are like, oh yeah, I did that. I was like, what?
You had the same experience as me.
I thought I was the only one.
Like, you did it right, man. You did it right.
Degenerates.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Now,
All
the
right.
really hard part, though, is if you had your camera and you're trying to take a snapshot while that one frame is on the TV and you had to time it right, but you wouldn't find out if you got it right until you took the film to the pharmacy to be developed and you got it a week later. And like, oh man, I only got like 2 photos of that thing and they're of the guy. Damn it.
So this just in Common America 5 will be written by I can't even say you, Brian, because who knows what you do. I don't know.
I do everything.
Yeah. All right, everyone. We're gonna close out the show, especially because my microphone just decided to I have to hold it like this. This sucks. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. We're gonna I'm getting into campaign season soon with chefs. Probably gonna be doing a lot more live streams, a lot more videos. We're still gonna be having a silly goose time, but right now my biggest priority is I gotta get these pages done, and I'm having a lot of fun doing them. So all right, guys, thank you guys for being on the show tonight.
Thank you, Tyler. Have a good one.
Yeah, have a good one, buddy. Thanks for having me.